Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. Today, I have two very special guests, Moist Noodle and SpaceCutlet, to talk about PvP in Star Citizen. So for me, I don't PvP at all. I don't know anything about this subject, but I think it's a very important one, and I think it's something that now with the changes to the flight model, we expect to see it getting better. But has it got better? Will it get better? I think these are two guys that are really good people to ask and to talk to and have a good discussion about for the next hour or so. So without further ado, Moist Noodle and SpaceCutlet. How's it going, guys? How you doing?
Good afternoon.
Hello. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
No
I was very excited. This is probably the most excited I've been for one of these shows in a while because I can kind of ask you questions about how the game works and talk about things.
I've been quite nervous.
Really?
I've been quite nervous.
There's nothing to be nervous about. It's not that big of a deal. It's just us three talking. Don't look at chat. Close chat.
That's what's making me nervous.
Why?
Me, Mike, and SpaceCutlet.
I don't
know.
Well, let's start with
where this can go.
I'm not nervous. Like I don't know. I know nothing about PvP, so I'm not nervous. It's okay.
That's a lie.
Oh, me neither.
Okay, that is a straight up lie. So let's start out with Moist. Before we get into the nitty gritty stuff. One of the reasons why I really want to have you guys on the show, on top of what I feel is like your knowledge about the game and PvP, is because I think that you two are really, really good streamers, and I don't think that enough people know about your channels. And I think this would be a great opportunity, both because this goes on both on Twitch and on YouTube, for people to find out who you are, what you do regularly on your Twitch channels, and where people can find you. So let's start out before we get into anything with Moist. What's your Twitch channel all about? What's the name? Where can people find you? All that kind of stuff.
Well, I've done a bit of everything. Right?
Yeah. Sure.
I started off as a pleb, not really knowing what I was doing. I did a bit of PvP, did a bit of low flying, then went back to PvP for 3.9.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm a pleb again. I'm highly reliant on SpaceCutlet telling me what I'm supposed to be doing in the patch. So I don't think we've quite worked that out yet.
It's a little early still.
Yeah, it's frustrating, right? I think I don't know whether it's just me or if it affects other content creators in the same way, but metas change from patch to patch, and I don't even mean like ship metas or weapon metas. But in terms of the actual content that you create, right?
Yeah.
I was talking to Detox a couple of days ago, or rather, he came into my channel, and I've really struggled since 3.10 has come out.
We all have.
Because I'm struggling to find anyone in Stanton, right? And I thought maybe it was just me, but Detox came in and he said, no, I set up a fully crewed hammerhead and we roamed and literally found no one. So as for what I'm going to be doing in 3.10, I'm not quite sure yet.
But in general, I think people would categorize you as a PvP player.
Yeah. That's the majority of what I do. Yeah.
And would you say that's like what you enjoy doing the most in the game? Like I don't see you as like mining very much.
Well, you know what actually got me into Star Citizen? Or which piece of concept art got me into Star Citizen? It was actually the original concept art for the Reclaimer.
Okay.
And I genuinely love the idea of salvage, right?
Okay.
But I just naturally fell towards PvP because there wasn't jack shit else to do.
Yeah.
So and there's a lot of people who are memeing the fact that they want to see me mining, and they thought that hand mining in prison was going to be hilarious, and I just flat out refused to do it. I'd rather just log off the game and come back 13 hours later, quite frankly. But yeah, I'm open to the mind of doing industrial stuff. But I've got a heart rate monitor for when I stream now. And whenever I get it depending on who I'm fighting, it's quite interesting, right? Because I'll fight some people and my heart rate won't go over 100. But there are other people, all I have to do is see them and my heart rate will immediately bounce up to like 130.
Because they're a good player?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you get, like, I was fighting Galathea, who also is a streamer and really, really lovely guy. He's our resident space Viking. And I had a fight with him last week. And my heart rate was pretty low for most of the fight. It was about 100, 110.
Mhm.
And there was a moment in the fight where both of us just kind of drifted, because it was like a knife fight. We were both in arrows, nose to nose. And we just kind of drifted apart. And at the perfect moment, because as we drifted apart, an asteroid just like went past, like straight in between us. And then my heart rate went up to 115, 120, 125. I spent the next like 5 minutes in that fight with my heart rate in the 120s, 130s. And I think
we just found
that
it. Yeah.
really shows, I think, why I enjoy PvP really, or just dogfighting, because, you know, there's not many games where I really give a shit about the game, right?
Yeah.
But to actually have a game that can get me that excited, giggity, yeah, I don't know. It's what I enjoy.
Yeah. And what about you, SpaceCutlet? What's your channel? Where do people find you? And you can kind of do what Moist did too. Like, what brought you to this game? Why do you love it? And then what type of content do you make regularly?
Yeah, well, my channel is SpaceCutlet,
Yep.
but usually you can find me at Tram and Mars or Ariel Kappa. Right, so it all started off with, well, long ago, right? 2013, sure. I think I backed the game, and we all were waiting, and I obviously positioned myself as a PvP player.
Yeah.
From the start, because I have a very long history in like online gaming, starting with Ultima Online and then EVE Online. So I
played Ultima?
Yeah, I played everything, like literally every major title, and
pre-Tram.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Not what Thou's bridge of the major city, Brit.
Okay.
Camping people there.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. I cannot imagine playing like MMO games without PvP, right?
No.
And that's why I passed on a lot of titles, because they in game dev right now, everything is being very PvE direction, right?
Yeah.
So when I saw initially Star Citizen, I was like, oh my god, yes, that is the game, because I was playing EVE Online previously, and I was, yes, space, but with full control of the ships. Nice. Very good. I bought in, and then everything went the way it goes now, right?
Yeah, initially when you bought in, and it was the same as me, I was playing Ultima Online still when the Kickstarter started. That's how I found it, was on the UL forum.
So you're like playing EVE Online. Oh.
I played it for 17 years.
Oh.
Like, okay. Even through like all the bad time, like I don't think the PvP was ever got really horrible, but obviously when they made it more casual, it wasn't as prevalent, right? But I found it through there, and they definitely sold Star Citizen as more of a PvP game. Like that it was going to be
into the game, right?
Yeah, it was going to be a big part of it at the very least. And now it feels like it's not. And that's why we tend to have these conversations every now and again, because it's like, hey, remember us over here that are into these things? We're still here. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway,
go ahead. No, please continue.
Okay, so basically, when I started to take Star Citizen more seriously, like, I've been through every patch. Like, people don't recognize my name because I was just lurking in the game, right?
Yeah.
In the older patches, and I had the different nicknames, so I changed it. But like, it went more serious after 3.0. In terms, like, we can debate endlessly on the flight models, like 2.6 model before that. It doesn't matter. What I'm talking about is more of a like gameplay, not the combat itself. So things started to like roll up after 3.0. So 3.2 introduced object container streaming, I think, right? So the FPS became more like playable.
Sure.
And then the notorious 3.4 with the jump down, and then that was the point where everything like started to really boil in a good way. And that's where I actually started to do like real piracy.
Yeah.
Piracy is not in game. I know, chat. I know.
SpaceCutlet was somebody that I was aware of quite early, and that I lurked quite a lot on Twitch.
I had to be told,
and
I'm happy I
SpaceCutlet
was.
is one of the people. God, this is going to sound a bit cringe, but one of the most inspiring people I think in the community, for me at least.
Me too.
Because for me, when it comes to PvP, and typically all I would do I'd just roam around, right, as a gang on my own and just engage whoever I came across. Whereas Cutlet was actually going out and finding bugs in the game and using bugs to create genuine gameplay to actually pirate people.
Yeah.
Right. And that kind of blew my mind a little bit. And I kind of try to fashion myself after Cutlet a little bit now.
No, come on.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not just PvP, it's piracy, right? And that's the one thing when people told me about Cutlet's channel, I went there and I watched legitimate piracy. Obviously, it was being done with, like little in-game glitches or whatever, but it was actually legitimate piracy. And that's why I think, like, both of you guys are super relevant, is when I watch Moist, I see a lot of dogfighting. When I watch Cutlet, I see this group mechanic of all these guys working together to try and be what I see piracy being in the game long term anyway, just using what the game is giving them for it right now. And I think it's super powerful. Do you want to touch on that a little bit more, Cutlet, about like what you do and what it's like? Because I think a lot of people won't understand exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, so I think the best way we can discuss this is we can probably talk more about PvP overall. Yeah. Right? And then we switch maybe to like a bit of a piracy talk, because it's going to be a bit hard jumping from piracy to PvP. I mean, they're totally connected, right? They're totally connected, but we will be constantly switching topics, and it won't be that streamlined because piracy has like some stuff going on, and maybe we talk more about PvP, where Moist is probably much more knowledgeable in terms of dogfighting. And then we talk about piracy. Yeah. So anyway,
I mean, like, just like a general what you guys as a group do right now, and then we can get into we could dive into it in a bit.
So some crazy piracy started at 3.4 when jump down was a thing, and it was a major choke point, right? For everyone coming and earning money there. So with my org, back in the day, we organized and we were keeping it under control. We were fighting off the waves of people who wanted to free jump down, and we were keeping it under you want to trade, come in, pay us money, take your cargo, we will cover, you go away and sell it. Or if I was soloing it, a solo guy won't convince anyone to pay. So it was more about, I look, you come in, buy, I jump on your head and do my demands. I cannot forget the few funny encounters there. And one of them was the guy who literally thought I was an NPC police. Because the way I behaved and talked to him, I was hovering over with an EMP bubble in a hawk. And I totally made the demands like a NPC, law enforcement would do, and that he is trading illegal goods and all that. It was hilarious. But anyway, it started there. Then I took quite a big break. I streamed back in the day in 3.4, but then I took a break because some IRL issues I don't want to get into. So I missed 3.5, 3.6. What brought me back into the game was some discussion in our org Discord about some guys doing some nasty PvP in Arena Commander. And I'm like, okay, I should install the game again. what's going on there. And I installed and I invested time and everything was fine. But 3.7 for me was mostly the Arena Commander patch. But then again, I got tired of it, as it always happens. It just makes no sense for me.
Yeah.
So 3.8, since 3.8 and the discovery of the, how we call it, Slavic glue bug, where we could sell the ships, right?
Yeah.
Back on the track with Piracy and never stopped ever again.
So what do you got? What does your org do? Give a brief understanding of. All right, we got our guys together. What's the sort of structure of things? Because that's what I find incredibly interesting about you guys. Is it's very structured, it's very organized, and it's very entertaining to watch.
And it's funny. It's not even an org, right?
Yeah, it's just a group of guys. Yeah, but I don't know a name of it.
But it's not really an org.
Yeah, there's no name. I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the org I was talking,
sense, right?
yeah, the org I was talking previously is a different one. It's literally the one I set today as an affiliate.
Okay.
And because it's just they don't play much right now, and I just have to keep rolling, and I have to find people and kind of gather groups to do that stuff that we do.
Yeah.
So basically, we just have this stupid name of Golden Eggplant Society, right?
Yeah.
And that's the name of the org. I don't remember the short one. It's /eggplant, I think. Basically it's just 10-man group. It doesn't matter. I just gather people from the chat and we roll. I explain them how to do the stuff and all that. So the main idea is we find every patch, we do scouting, we understand where the routes are, and we do the main goal is to try to earn with PvP and Piracy as far as the game mechanics gives you the opportunity to do
UEC,
that,
right?
Earn UEC.
Yeah.
So in the first place, it's like ransoming and extortion.
Yep.
When you catch someone. In the second place, it's disabling the ship. If the player declines any kind of communications, it's disabling the ship, boarding it, getting rid of the pilot, giving him the second chance when he responds at Olisa. If he doesn't agree, it is explode the ship, get the boxes, and get humiliatingly low amount of profit.
Yep.
And which is not even about.
They've doubled how much you earn from each box.
Oh yes,
what do you
mean?
mean?
every box drops now 12 units instead of 6, so it's twice of nothing. And and the funny part is, and that we're now jumping forward in the discussion. Actually,
yeah, definitely.
Probably, but it's just like a teaser. So because of the picos, and probably because of the huge amount of hand minables which drop from rocks, they had to initiate some kind of a very severe and merciless cleanup script that cleans up all the trash. And guess what? Our gameplay loop probably is trash. So it's getting cleaned up too. The boxes, exist for 3 seconds and disappear now.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what we do. Piracy that doesn't exist. Here we are.
Yes. So, all right, let's get into the actual PvP discussion. What's the state of it in 3.10? I mean, I think we teased it a little bit. There's nobody around, right?
So, can I step in?
Jump.
Sure.
Damn it! And you ruined the punchline for me. Flight, I think, is fantastic.
Okay.
Flight is the best I think it has been in a long time. There are a couple of exceptions. I might upset some people in chat when I say I think the Vanguard is way too maneuverable right now. I am quite happy with fixed weapons. I'm happy to be using fixed again. Missiles are trash. Torpedoes are trash. There are eclipses just torpedoing me, although they're not killing me because I just fly away from the torpedoes, but just firing torpedoes, and there's nothing I can do about it because when I scan for them, I can't scan down a fucking eclipse because it's 1,000 rocks appearing. Why I need to scan down rocks with my fucking...
Because they have to sell the buggy, dude.
Fuck's sake, don't trigger me, dude.
They have to sell the buggy. Come on.
So all that's great, right? But there's nobody. There is nobody. There is no one anywhere. I think I killed I actually caught a caterpillar at Latham the other day because I don't think the person was aware that it's now 3.10. But that's it. Like, I'm just, the only time I can find people to fight are pre-organized fights, and that's not what I got into this game for, right?
Yeah, I don't think that's why anybody got into it.
It's kind of disappointing. You know, we spoke about Jumptown earlier. Jumptown was incredible. The reason Jumptown was incredible was because it was a funnel, right? It was an economic choke point that not all, if people wanted to ignore it and not engage in the PvP, they didn't have to go there. But a lot of people did, and we had amazing fights there. Before then, it was the, what was the name of the station for repairing and rearming?
Cryastro.
Yeah, Cryastro.
You know, 3.9 was great because at least we had friggin' Lathan and Bezdek, although there were freaking armistice zones there.
Yeah.
But we could still do something. But in 3.10, at least we've not found what the thing is yet.
Yeah, is that what you think it is? Because that's what I was going to ask next. Why don't you think you're finding anybody?
I think people are just down on Microtech flying around.
I know the answer.
And just doing missions and
what's
shit
the answer?
On
Pico.
I don't think it's Pico.
No, I'm genuinely thinking we have to wait a bit because there are few reasons. Because if you look at the, like, when you're on the server and you look at the player list, players are there, right?
Sure.
They're there. So they're doing something. So what I guess is, first, it's like the early days. It's like less than a week into the patch. So everyone is definitely enjoying Picos. I'm not joking, right? So because we're talking about the PvE players who love sunsets and all that, right?
Sure.
They're going checking out stuff. They're going checking out what's there at this trading outpost, what the that trading outpost. I mean, I've did that back in PTU. It took me like 1 hour to understand there is nothing interesting there besides few routes that are not meaningful for caterpillars, but let them do that. Then there is a thing like, oh, new targeting, and then they try to sort it out. They go do PvE missions. It will take some time for people to adopt and understand, if you're talking about traders, that still aerial is the best trade, one of the best trade routes, still Trem and Myers, still Galette, and then things will get back to some kind of normal. Okay. Yeah, a few more routes is at Microtech, but they're somewhat unreliable in terms of like doing it repetitively because demand supply is quite weird there.
Yeah.
And they're just a copycats from other mid and low tier trading routes that existed previously, and most of people never used them around the Stenton. So there is literally nothing new. So they will understand that, and yeah, we killed 2, 3, 4, 5 cats already at Ariel, and yeah, one phoenix that wished me to choke on my own dick. Yeah. So yeah, I think it will get back to normal.
Okay.
Yeah, but it needs time.
Yeah, sure. Let's touch on that a little bit. Why do you think people call PvPers griefers? Let's not go into this too much because I know this gets to be one of those conversations. But yeah,
I think the issue is, I think we have a lot of people coming to Star Citizen, and they've either not played MMOs before, or they generally don't play games, or they've not played games that much before. And I know that might sound a little bit ignorant coming, from me. I know there are a lot of people in chat who engage a lot with the gaming community, but I generally think that's the case. I've talked to a lot of people who, they hadn't played any games since like the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
And then they discovered Star Citizen because Chris Roberts, and this is them jumping back in. And I think that, you got a portion of the community that's there. I think you also have a portion of the community that's here to live out their Star Trek dreams, and they don't want anybody to get in the way of that RP storyline that decided to create for that particular day. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. If there are people here to RP, then that's amazing. I'm going to be doing RP as well at some point. You know, I love myself a little bit of role play. But I genuinely think that that's the case. And I think there are just a lot of people who also haven't engaged a lot in PvP. And one of the things that I try to do with my channel is, you know, I want to help more people get into PvP. I try to teach people, you know, what are the meta ships to use. I think since 3.8, in terms of metas, I actually think it's been quite great because we've seen quite a diverse range of ships being used in the game for PvP, which is nice. And the same is for 3.10. The weapons are a little bit more meta. But that's why I want to get more people into PvP, right? I'm fed up with people calling me a griefer. And there's nothing that I find more hilarious than when I'm streaming and I get somebody who tries to bounty hunt me in the verse. I kill them, and then they come and bitch at me and call me a griefer in my Twitch chat.
Griefer.
It's like, dude, please. It's just, I get it, right? It's non-consensual PvP. Some people aren't gonna like that. I get frustrated when I die to a friggin' torpedo that I wasn't expecting, right? All we can hope is, you know, going forward, like the way that PvP works really in Star Citizen right now is not the way it's intended and going to be going forward, right? In the future, you know, when armistice, people keep saying armistice zones are going away. Armistice zones are not going away, but the way they work
is going to change.
Be going away.
Yeah.
Right. Right now, I firmly believe that armistice zones encourage ramming, right, which is a problem. But other than that, we have guns on Port Olisar that can't hit a friggin' side of a barn, right, which is insane. We have security NPCs that appear and then don't move or do anything. So it's not incredibly difficult right now to be a criminal in Stanton. Going forward, we'll have Pyro. That is where I think a lot of us, maybe, I think Cutlet's probably smart enough that he might be able to hang around in Stanton. But, you know, I pretty much live with a level 5 crime stat in my head most of the time. So I'll probably be in Pyro or at least at the gate. And the game will actually have systems to try and protect people. So, I get it. I get why people get frustrated. Unfortunately, that's the way that the game works right now. But I do find it a little bit hard to be sympathetic for two reasons. One, it's hard for me to be sympathetic towards people who are personally attacking me and using slurs to try and insult me because of a video game, right? Whereas I actually think that, you know, sometimes I can get a little bit heated and I can get a little bit excited, and that's because, you know, my heart rate's up, I'm excited, whatever. But I won't typically use personal slurs against people. But
it's the internet. We can't avoid those things.
That's true.
It's just it's always something.
Yeah, we'll when it comes to PvP, and this is something that I've said on my stream, and I've heard Cutlet say exactly the same thing on his stream, and I don't think I think we probably have had this conversation since, but you know, although there's not a lot of it now in Star Citizen, there will be in the future. PvP isn't just about dogfighting, right? PvP isn't just about pirating. PvP is player versus player. And this is an MMO. There's player versus player on normal non-PvP servers in World of Warcraft. It's called the friggin' auction house, man. Yeah. And I honestly, I don't know if people are, those people who are complaining about PvP now, I don't know how they're going to cope when, if they're a trader, for example, you know, they go up against other traders. They go up against other miners who are they're fighting are the miners for a particular resource in a particular area, right? That is PvP. And to stop my rambling, because sorry, I've had a little bit of wine. I apologize, everybody. I don't know how these people who are complaining now are going to cope when NPCs actually work in this game. Because we're going to have NPCs of different professions and different skill levels. And what are you going to do when you're trying to mine and you're a solo miner and you get attacked by an NPC ace combat pilot?
Yeah. What about you, Cutlet? What do you think?
What was the question? Because it went too long.
Sorry,
he's had too much wine already.
No.
Too much wine.
Too long in a good way. Okay, I was just. What was the initial question? Okay.
What?
Mike doesn't even remember.
No, it's well, I don't remember.
Griefers. It was the question about griefers. Yeah.
Yeah. What is griefing? Like, it's not what is griefing, but why? Like, why do people call you griefers when I don't believe that you are? Right.
Yeah, so it's going to be an echo chamber right now, as predicted, right? So I'll just talk through everything Moist already did, right? So there is a thing that a lot of players were brought here in this game by Chris Roberts himself, by the name, who probably the last title they played was a freelancer, right, or whatever. So they never played any game afterwards, and now the mighty Chris shows up and, hey guys, I'm gonna do another game. And they're like, oh wow, but the game community moved on since Ultima Online and beyond, right? And there were some things going on in game development and how people play games and how they interact, and they are totally out of the league, out of knowledge, behind the curve, right? And they come in and, okay, I was promised I will trade, so I'm entitled to my trade experience. Oh wait, there's someone attacking me. He is a griefer. Basically, that's it. He griefs me, right? So they throw that word because they don't understand the real definition of the world,
of course,
in the gaming community.
Yep.
Yeah.
What actually is being done to that particular person is called ganking.
Yeah.
Right. So usually ganking term is utilized on an uneven fight where someone has unfair advantage in terms of whatever potential tools they have upon another guy. And that's 90% of open world PvP is ganking, unless I meet Moist Noodle somewhere around Grimhex and say, hi, Moist Noodle.
Would you like to dogfight?
Here's fight.
The thing, though.
Let's fight into arrows and don't use missiles.
Yes. This is not apart from Arena Commander, this is not an arena, right?
Yeah.
Let's think about it for a second. When you have two militaries who are actually, two countries that are at war, you don't, there are some predefined rules, right? But you generally try to have the upper hand by having a better plane or a better tank
or more of
missile.
them.
It's like, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. And the whole thing that I see, that the one thing that maybe you Moist touched on a little bit, but we didn't really get into, was that this is not the game that anybody's going to be playing in the future. And Cutlet touched on it also, was like, you're griefing my trading experience. Like, these players will get to have their trading experience and their mining experience outside of you guys coming around and bothering them when we have more star systems where some of them are more protected.
I totally disagree with that argument.
Okay, go for it.
So the argument of Stanton being the only system right now, right? Here is how it works. First, read the description of Stanton on the loading screen when you load into the Stanton, and
I can't read
about. Yeah, I mean, overall, right? And read about the raising criminality inside of Stanton, and with like law enforcement struggling to deal with it, right? That's first thing. Second thing, Stanton has a lot of trade routes, excluding aerial and tram and miles. And guess what? Those trade routes gives you less profit, right? And here we start talking about high risk, high reward. So if you go to Ariel or Tram and Mars and get ganked or pirated, that's because you chose to take the highest reward and brought upon yourself a highest risk. If you would be trading a fucking aluminum or tungsten on one of the godforsaken outposts, the chances the gankers or pirates gonna be there are like so freaking minimal. But
Can I just let chat into a little secret? For those of you who are traders, right? I know that a lot of you guys use tools like the Galog trading tool, right? Well, guess what? We use them too for a different reason.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the best piracy tool there.
Yeah.
Right. And Ravier himself comes up to our streams and laugh because of the creator of Galog, right? I mean, the creator of the service, right? So that's kind of hilarious. But yeah, go trade aluminum and get your like 5 times less profit, and the chances someone will actually gank you is so freaking low. But no, you don't want to do this, right?
Yeah.
You go to the most profitable, and that's how it's gonna be in the future. It will just expand. The idea will expand to the multitude of star systems. Where you get the most profit will be the most danger. Right now, it just all crumbled into one star system. Stanton. Yeah. That's it. So
we've already seen. I think it was last sitcom, right? They showed off Quanta, and we know that. So for those that don't know, Quanta is the system, the back-end system that essentially drives AI, right?
And the economy, I guess.
And the economy, etc. Well, it touches onto dynamic economy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've already seen from that system that when certain events happen in certain locations, such as a manufacturer, whatever, has a new particular thing that's selling incredibly well, and there's a lot of traders going there, that Quanta then drives different types of NPCs, such as pirate NPCs to those locations. So like I said earlier, it's not just going to be players that you're going to be worrying about. It's also going to be NPCs. And we already know that players actually only make up 10% of the overall population of the verse, So I would actually say it's, I know this, we're mainly talking about PvP, but I'm trying to drive home the fact that the people who complain about people who PvP, it's not necessarily us that you're going to have to worry about in the future.
Yep. And also another thing about griefing and all that, what I consider, I always put this an example, I have a clip of it somewhere. What I consider like really griefing in this game is probably pad ramming on both sides. So I feel really bad for the traders who finish their route and actually land at Port Olisar. And then for no reason, or even for a reason, someone just smashes their ship with like $1 million worth of cargo. And that's so shit. And I totally consider this to be griefing, because it is abusing the game mechanics in an inappropriate way. And the same goes to people bounty hunting with RAM mechanics, criminals.
The amount of times I've been sent to prison because the bounty hunter knows I'll go to prison just because they kill me. They're not interested in the reward. They won't get the reward, but they're not interested in the reward. I had this conversation with Luke Presley, right? All they want to do is, it's the whole RP thing. They want the satisfaction of sending you to prison, and they got it.
Which is like a good thing that it creates that, but it's the way that they're going about it isn't always the best.
Yeah, but then again, I don't understand what the argument of traders, of their safety, And I kind of agree that the protection that is given to average Joe trader is really miserable. Like, what I would like to see, all that talks about armistice zone and all that, it shouldn't be about the armistice zone. It should be about the protection around the points of interest CAG is actually interested to protect. So if it's Port Olisar, it should be a sphere of turrets hanging in the air with, I don't know, size 5 Tachon guns.
Yeah.
And they should hit scan you the moment you try to get there if you're a criminal, or if there is an act of aggression, or even if you start locking someone with a torpedo, they should already be starting shooting you. And then the moment the trader is there, he's kind of protected because pirates are popping left and right from those turrets. And what I really think, it shouldn't be the armistice zone, because armistice zones that they work right now, they don't protect you from physical ram damage. But the moment they are touched down on the pad, like if it's not a hangar, even if it's hangar, the moment they're padlocked, I've been talking about this a lot, and with Noodle before.
We both pretty much had exactly the same idea.
Yeah. You can do whatever lore explanation. They should be protected by the quote unquote station shields. It should create basically a hitbox around them. So if someone rams it, it hits that hitbox and explodes, and that's it. Like, like if we draw parallels, like in Eve, when you have those player-built stations, they're like tethering you. Yeah. When you're near them, they're tethering you, and no one can. So basically, for example, he reaches the pad, and the moment he is like 100 meters from the pad, those shields like catch you, and because of the fluctuations of high energy, your guns go down, everything goes down.
You're really trying to work out the lore for this, aren't you?
Well, because it's important to them. The lore is so important to them for all of these things. If it doesn't have a good lore explanation, they won't do it.
I think it should only be specific stations, though, that have that service available.
Of course.
That's why I said where CAG feels it is right? And so, for example, on outposts, right, that are on the moons, it could be something like you request landing at the outpost, and you are protected for a limited amount of time. Enough for you to go out, take your purchase, do your purchase, scratch your ass, like, for example, 10 minutes, right? You landed somewhere at Bezdek, right? And when you successfully land, you have this protection. No one can ram you, nothing, because that's shit, right? If you're just trying to buy stuff. But then the moment you take off, like you have like 100 meters or something, and then when you commit to warping out, it's up to you what happens next, right? And up to you having or having not protection. Obviously, again, if it's a high security system, outposts should have the same turrets and all that, yada, yada, yada.
But this is what I was going to say earlier. When I was saying that I find it a little bit hard to have sympathy for people, and I forgot to finish my point. The game gives you so many opportunities to stay alive. So many, the amount of people who don't realize you can drop your quantum halfway through quantum. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So if you're being trailed, or you think you're being trailed by somebody, if you want to go to Daymar, quantum to Yella, drop, and then go to Daymar.
Yeah, totally.
And this will pay attention to your radar.
This will fool 95% of PvPers.
Yeah,
95% of PvPers. I mean, and it will fool me, because I will lose scent of the guy unless we have scouting all around, like Crusader, right? Unless we do that, no matter where you go, we will catch you on any profitable point.
The thing is, you have people who are so knowledgeable. Sorry, too much wine, too much goddamn wine. Knowledgeable about the game, right? You got people like Cutlet, people like me who watch Cutlet. So you know where the primary sort of trading locations are, and whenever I see somebody in a caterpillar and they quantum towards selling, I know they're going to Tram and Myers, right? So even if they did drop their quantum or whatever, ultimately they're probably going to end up at Tram and Myers.
Yeah, because there's no other routes that are really worth doing there, right?
Yeah, if I see a caterpillar generally around Crusader, they're either going to Grimhex or they're going to Tram and Myers.
Yeah.
It's like if he warps to Selin, but boom, he's not at Tram and Myers or whatever, or he never exit warp. I'm like, okay, guys, we have like that's why we run groups. You cannot like successfully pirate solo unless you have like specific tactics like staying on foot on Tram and Myers and just waiting for people. So if he's not there, okay, guys, he just fooled us. Go like Daymar 141, go Yella 157. But that's like, that's the minority.
Here's the amount of times that when I was with Shadow Moses, right, that we would get accused of stream sniping people. And all it would be, right, we're just using our big brain tactics chat, right?
200 IQ.
You have enough people in the group to have one person at every landing zone in the game, and eventually you'll find them. Eventually they will go to a landing zone. And then once they're there, you just get everybody to all head to that location.
That's what we're doing right now in a new patch. We are covering all the landing zones silently. So we go to different servers and it's like PO, Lowville, 18, Cabbage, and we just watch. And we just watch the traffic. And it will take like a week or two to actually understand what's people up to. That's why I say like kind of we have to wait a bit. And that's the part of like piracy, at least. Like scouting and understanding how the meta changes, that's a huge part. That's why not many people do that, because they're bored by just watching other people fly. But that's how it is.
That's what I find. I mean, that's why I wanted to have this conversation, is to like open up the converse or the discussion that this stuff actually exists. Like, this is what lengths do you guys go to?
People don't realize
to do this. Those,
I won't call names, right? Those people who call me a griefer. Do you know how much work I have to do? Do you know how much work that Cutlet has to do to have like 30 seconds of destroying a caterpillar?
Yeah.
We could be there for hours scouting locations, right? Scanning down chips.
And that's the time we don't earn money while you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a good thread on Spectrum about the cost of piracy and the profits of piracy. Yeah, it's like everyone who call us griefers and all that, do you guys understand that legitimate piracy earns you right now around 1,000 UAC per hour for a person?
It's so true. It's so true. It's why
do you guys understand that? Do you guys understand that when you say the trading got nerfed 310,
I can only make 400k per hour. How horrible!
How funny it sounds for us, for people who have your knowledge and then all the fucking knowledge in the game, how to pirate someone.
Not only that, it's like herding cats as well, right? So you've got to have the knowledge, you've got to herd cats and have the actual skill to pull this shit off. And you get 1,000 UEC an hour.
And it's not guaranteed.
Well, and that's
small letters. It's not guaranteed. Yeah. Profit is not guaranteed.
That's what I wanted to touch on too. Is a lot of the players that go to these locations where there are no armistice zones, or the locations where you may be around and attempt some of this piracy, you always actively attempt to gain ransom from them. You mentioned it earlier, right?
Yeah.
How many people on average will play along?
5 to 1%.
It's insane.
So from 100 cats we catch, we will probably have from 1 to 5 persons, people who actually will play along, and it dials down to the money numbers. They're so fed up with their nerfed trading that they just don't care. They do this like. But
this happened in 3.9 also, right?
Yeah, it was mostly happening in 3.9 because they have unlimited money.
So they don't care.
This is the problem, right? They had in 3.9 they had unlimited money, but we will still have a problem in that there's no consequence to you dying as a person, and there's no consequence to you losing your ship.
Yeah.
Right?
10 minutes reclaim time. That's it.
Yep. I mean, maybe that's where we move this discussion now for a little bit. How do we, for what we know about what we have in the game, what's likely possible in the near future, how do we resolve and try and bring some and bring some life into both PvP and piracy? What are some solutions?
Well, there's a reason that they doubled nothing of nothing, right? So they doubled what you can make from the boxes that drop from a ship that is destroyed from 6 to 12. And that's because me and Cutlet essentially had a conversation with Luke Presley.
Yep.
And Cutlet was like, look, each box needs to be worth like 100, right? Well, that's great. It's worth 12 now. That's great. Thanks, Cutlet.
Yeah, they don't understand the real numbers, because they kind of I mean, I cannot blame developers not for playing their game 24/7, right?
Of course.
They just don't understand. Okay, we will. So how it probably went into in their mind. Okay, we will double the profit for pirates.
Yeah.
And then the basic rules of math.
2,000 per hour.
No. Then the basic number, the basic rule of math that you learn at like early school, that you don't do math with zero, right? It will end up being zero. So on a topic, how to make it somehow meaningful, there are a lot of long-term solutions that they're probably working on, right? But there is a very short-term solution, is the same boxes. I mean, first fix the freaking boxes. They fucking disappear because our game loop is trash and it's being cleaned up as trash, right? So fix them so they don't disappear. And that goes actually not only to boxes. You cannot transfer like even a hack chip. You drop it on the ground and it disappears instantly. Yeah. Right? But talking about piracy,
we're not and that specifically is talking about boxes that have dropped after a ship has been destroyed. We can't even, if we steal a ship, there's nothing we can do with it.
Yeah.
We can only bring it to the most convenient destruction location, then destroy it and get those boxes, right? But they disappear now. But that's a kind of bug. Like, I have a thread going on about that, and like actually Xylo paid attention to it. And the ticket about the boxes disappearing is like acknowledged in issue council. So we can hope like 3.10.1 will bring some changes.
Okay.
So
is there going to be a 3.10.1? Like 3.11's out in like what, 2 weeks?
Oh, sorry, I'm not the Evocati pleb. For me, not.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
Yeah. So anyway, we can only hope they actually hear for that on that topic, and I hope that, like Xylo said, it was an interesting read. So maybe we'll have some changes, but at least making those boxes unrealistically. Like one SCU for now. I know one SCU is a much bigger volume, right? But just for the sake of having a gameplay loop, it's just like literally a value change, right? If you think like, because for 2 SCUs, one box drops, right? So if CAG considers for pirates to get half of the cargo, so if one box will be one SCU is too much, fine. I'm okay with that. If you feel we have to get like 25% of the loot if we destroy the ship, fine. Cull down the amount of boxes. It will ease up the load on the server, but just make them like one SCU.
Exactly.
Right?
And the great thing is, then we won't have to spend like 5 hours loading those boxes into the back of a Cutlass Black. It takes so long.
I mean, I understand
we can't even throw at the moment, right?
Yeah,
it's once. Broken too. Your first
Only
throw works, that's it.
Yeah, it's broken. So we have to literally take them. You know that the weight of the boxes matters. If it's like titanium, it's one weight. If it's something else, it's another weight. So if it's like some precious metal, but it's heavy, you literally walk with it, like slowly. And I'm fine with all the time input. I'm fine with it, that we have to carry them all as a temporary solution. That's fine. We don't have tractor beams. I just want some money for the effort, right? That's about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, when someone says like the trading is broken and it's nerfed while it's actually fixed, it makes me just laugh.
And this is the most disappointing thing probably about what we're discussing here is they don't like redoing work, right? And I brought it up on the screen here. Object push and pull, I think, was originally in 3.11 and got pushed back to 3.12. And that's the thing, the mechanic
Again,
that allows players to grab a larger object and move it around. And that's your one SCU box, you know?
Yep.
Something that me and Cutlet are pretty much on the same page about. I'm sorry that this is turning into an echo chamber. I didn't really want it to be an echo chamber, but...
It is, but it isn't.
When
you guys come from two different perspectives.
When we talk about things that we'd like to see changed, very often we're not talking about long-term changes. We're not talking about having entire new systems in. We're talking about the low-hanging fruit. We're on about them changing values, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're asking for. Because that's how we hope that we might get something changed sooner rather than later. You have to be realistic with what you're asking of CIG.
Yeah.
And there's no other developer that I've ever met that actually, you know, will actually come and engage with you in Discord, will actually come and engage with you in a Twitch chat.
Yep.
You know? So all we can do is really cross our fingers, kiss our asses, and hope for the best.
And you could be onto something there too, because I think it was yesterday, I pulled the rock out, and I made sure I pulled the rock out, I broke one of the new minables that drops tons of gems on the ground, right? And I picked them up one by one. And the old backpack used to be 120 units.
Now it's 500.
Now it's 500. But what 120 units was before, because what the one little SCU box that drops for everybody is 1/8 of an SCU, and it should be able to hold 120, 12.5, whatever, 125 of these gems. I picked up 135 of the gems and then created a box, and they all fit in that box. So it had 135 of the units that should only be 125. So the idea that you could put 500 into a box means that for the piracy situation is you could do the same thing. You could fit 500 of these units into one of those small boxes temporarily until 3.12 object push and pull. Then you revert back to what it used to be.
Exactly.
You know?
Also, if I want to give while we're talking about this rock and hand picking up, I just want to give a pro tip for people, if you don't mind.
Please.
So we came up with all the interesting gameplay, how we utilize rock for criminal gameplay.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Exactly. So
I don't know this. This is going to be good.
Yeah. So we all know we can transfer merits now, right?
Sure.
So there is the all shady economy going on with people buying and selling merits.
Okay.
This guy is going to charge me to get out of prison. What a dick. Sorry, continue.
So what we've done, we place specifically a few guys in prison. They escape. They go to Grimhex. They buy rucksacks. We take them and a rock to Hedonite deposits. We mine the Hedonite with a rock. So there are a shit ton of those pieces.
Yeah.
They pick it up, and then they go with it back to prison. And they turn in those Hedonites.
That's genius.
Wait, but how do you end up in prison with the backpack?
So yeah, because you don't die. You just exit the menu and then reload. You have to never save at any other location.
Oh no!
This is what I'm talking about. He always finds this.
How do you think of this stuff?
Well, yeah. So anyway, anyone who wants to sell those merits to us are welcome at our Discord.
Because I've seen that too now. I saw a thread from Virgil as well. Like, we are buying your merits. What price are you buying merits at currently? What's the stock price?
It's
5 or 6, wasn't it?
It's 3 UAC per merit, and around if we
Wait,
sell.
Whoa! You told me 6.
No, if we sell to someone, it's 6. If we buy, it's 3 because of all the hassle, taxes, and then finding people, talking to them. It takes a lot of.
Moist thought he got a bad deal.
I'll give Moist.
All over again.
I'll give Moist the best discounts.
Thanks.
That's so cool. So, again, it's there's so much that you have to figure out and play and almost pretend in Star Citizen to make it interesting and fun. But I feel like you find that, like, you guys find like that's the fun of it right now.
And you know what's the main like interesting thing in the experience we had yesterday, like doing that? It was the best mining session in my entire Star Citizen career.
Because there was a purpose.
Why? No. You know why? Because it felt like we're doing the real multi-crew experience. Because you know what? Everyone who was picking up that fucking hedonite had a crime stat.
Oh, shit. So people could be coming after you.
So it was the whole fucking logistics there of taking down Comlink, of protection, few ships of protection on top of us. Our rocks were exploding from size 9. And we were rail gunning down the people who tried to hunt us because they didn't see our marker because the comlink was down and they were trying to find us on the ground, so we were dying from the rail guns.
You just made me think about bounty markers. Now I'm really upset.
and it was a very good example of thinking when you do something, but not just following the YouTube tutorial.
Yep.
It's like we were able to mine under a pressure of having 4 people in a group with a crime stat, and none of us died and went to prison. Almost none of us. Right? And it's all dials down to the good old griefing, when people just feel entitled in an MMO game that they should have their own single player experience and don't think about anything else like protection, being clever, making smart moves, outsmarting other players. No, look, we mined with a crime stat, on the ground, on foot. We could be killed by any like random projectile, and we didn't die. And we actually made a bug there.
Can I point out that I have the most fun when I don't, I'm sorry to bring this up again, when I don't have a bounty marker above my head, right? As in when I'm being hunted. Yeah. Because if I'm in a building, for example, I don't know where the bounty hunter is. I'm just running around like a pleb. Well, I'm a pleb anyway, but but they know exactly where I am, and they know when I'm about to step from behind a wall, right? Yeah. Through a doorway, and they know when to pull the trigger. If I'm in a ship, right? Unless I'm in an area where there's no comm array, which is actually the reason why I hang around Grimhex so much, because there's permanently no comm array there. When you have that bounty marker above your head, it makes trying to just have fun very difficult, right? Because you just end up having a size 9 thrown at you. Get rid of the friggin' bounty markers. Turn it into a search area. Your target is in this area. You have to scan for them. Yeah. Have fun searching through 1,000 rocks.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna have to change.
Oh, it's gonna have to. It's insane.
I think it should just literally be the Freelancer and the Cutlet that they add that functionality to, because they're the only ones that, and maybe the Valkyrie, and that those are the only 3 ships I can see you putting a rock on. Maybe a Cutlet too, or a Constellation. But yeah, the bounty marker is really frustrating. But even when the comm array is off and you get near a bounty, the marker does show up, correct?
No.
Right now, no. It was like this previously, but right now, no.
Okay. So no, as long as you focus on keeping the comm array off, you don't have it.
That actually turns into some of the best gameplay that I've had.
Okay.
If you manage to get bounty hunters on your server, because actually since 3.10 has dropped, I've struggled to find bounty hunters.
Yeah.
But generally, it tends to fall back. In 3.9, my gameplay was either pirating people with a group at Beztech or Lathan, or taking down the comm array, the Port Olisar, because that's the comm array that people always seem to want brought back up. and you just sit at the comma. Oh my god, look at that cute dog. Sorry. Sorry, cute dog. Yeah, they will almost always turn up at the com array, and it just turns into a friggin' war zone. But then just you end up with a ton of eclipses turning up now, and you just my PvP is literally just me constantly running away from torpedoes. That's my dog fighting now.
I think that's a good segue then. What
my dog is not fighting.
What we know that they're gonna make some changes to missiles next patch. What do you think they should do?
The question is, okay, go ahead.
At the absolute minimum, they need to stop ships spawning with missiles and torpedoes, and they need to raise the cost of fucking torpedoes and missiles. At the very minimum.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop the way they work.
Missiles. No, it doesn't. But I'm talking about the bare minimum, right? To stop torpedo and missile spam. Because let me tell you something. If my bounty is 20,000, right, and every torpedo costs 10,000. By the way, when torpedoes were first implemented into the game, they cost 60,000 UEC each.
Oh,
right?
yes. Yep. Yes, I remember that.
Yep.
Right. I don't think people would be spamming them as frequently as they did, as if they were like rocks.
Yeah.
If they actually cost something.
Imagine launching 60k each.
Christ.
And then grinding for the rest of your day to launch another 6.
I just spat wine all over my face. So carry on.
Yeah, so definitely the price is, especially of the size 9s. 10k, again, we discussed that 10k would be something meaningful for a price right now. Then restocking shouldn't be, like, I would accept probably if you do the non-expedite way to get a ship. But if you expedite it, in no case it should go. Like, in my imagination for now, expedite should cost you a full... Like, if you would click all the buttons on RRR, like, right? Reload, refuel.
Yeah.
I like this idea.
Anyway, repair, right? Triple R. If you click expedite, the price should be all those numbers combined, considering it's at 0, right? Your ship is 100% broken. You have 0 munitions, ordnance, 0 fuel, 0 everything. And that should be the expedite price.
Yeah.
Right? And then if torp's going to cost 10k, so getting back an eclipse would cost you like 40k quickly, right? Or you wait like 15 minutes, at least, right?
Sure.
So that's another thing.
I never look at Twitch chat, but everybody's pointing at this guy's message, and I sort of agree. Honestly, money never stops anybody in MMOs.
Agree.
Well, yeah, that's because most MMOs don't have money sinks. That's the problem.
Or enough of
and
them.
That's like,
yeah.
That's another thing. That's another thing. I always bring up this argument. Never the game, like MMO game, should be balanced around price. Never.
Yeah.
So you
Dynamic economy.
You cannot balance the firepower on price. Why? Because there is an array of players, right?
Yep.
There are very good players, very bad players, and then everything in the middle, right? So if you balance something on the very high skilled cap players that know how to do everything, they know how to earn money, like literally everything, right? If you balance that around those players, then everything that goes down below the list, those guys will never be able to enjoy any aspect of the game. They will be locked down constantly to flying their Auroras, right? Mm-hmm. If you balance it to the bottom players or like low tier players at all, then it means everything that goes above that line, including the high skilled players. And I'm not talking about the only high skilled PvP, like overall knowledge of the game. Then it means to them, money will never be the issue. They're going to never stop. They will spam torpedoes, everything, whatever. So money should be only a secondary factor that influences stuff, right? it just what we're talking right now with Moist is just like kind of a temporary solution.
Yeah.
Okay.
And saying about the missile operator mode, also known as your mom, is we don't know what it is. Like there is zero info from CAG of what that's gonna be, right?
Sure.
Because if it's a missile operator mode, that means launching missiles will be something different, right? But it doesn't mean missiles will behave differently, right? And that's the main problem. I don't care if someone I wouldn't care if someone missile spam me or size 9 me if they actually behave properly. Like a size 9 torpedo making circles around you is the problem. It's not the problem how it's launched, right? It's the problem how it behaves. So if my mom will make it harder to someone to launch it, there is still no skill check on my side. It's only a skill check on the someone who launches it, but not on my side. I want to have a proper skill check on my side to evade it. And the bigger the size difference is, the easier, obviously, the skill check has to be, right? So
yeah, I completely agree. There needs to be a skill check from the person launching. There needs to be a skill check from the person evading. And generally, we need better support in the game for and I'm talking about what we have right now, right? In terms of like the audible notifications, I think the audible notifications are awful. You get a really quiet, weird alert that you can barely hear. At least I can barely hear it when I'm firing my weapons. When they lock on, when the lock is complete, but no warning when the actual missile or torpedo is fired, right? And then on top of that, we only have one working countermeasure right now. You can't countermeasure cross-section missiles or torpedoes.
And you never could. This has been a problem for many, many years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like going back to the old days when I played Arena Commander, it used to be like when that's all we had, so I was forced to PvP, right? Like the only things that I Cutlet, I'll just catch you up. Like going back to Arena Commander when that's all we had. If I remember correctly, like you locked on a missile and you fired it. It was as simple of a skill check on their end as it is now, but all I had to do was press a button to get it off. So it was equal in terms of their skill versus your skill as far as missiles went.
It depended. It depends on a patch.
Well,
so
yes,
sometimes
but there was a time
would work. Yeah, sometimes you have to like pull out some maneuvers, but not super hard. It depends on the patch. Yeah.
It's a little bit of madness just said in chat. Size 9 hitting small targets is terrible. IMO big ship killer. Well, I agree and disagree, right? If I'm in an arrow and I'm sat still and I'm not moving, by all means, that size 9 should be able to hit me.
Of course.
It should take them a good like 2 minutes to actually lock onto me.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, because it should be a signature. It should be a signature.
The lock-on time should be as a relation or relative to the signature of the ship.
It should be dynamic. So if you see an EM missile being locked on you, right? It should take him like ages to lock an arrow. But then if you drop your shields down, it should like take him infinite lock on you because it will.
But in the same vein, I think an arrow, a light fighter, should easily be able to outmaneuver
straight up
a size 9, which you can to a certain degree, right? You can kite them,
but it will keep like rotating.
It's very dependent on the server right now.
No.
You know, I've had servers where I've just kited a size 9 in a tight circle without much issue. I've had other servers where they just like rubber banded into me. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, my inner like wish, which will probably never happen, and chat, don't be mad at me, right? Especially size 9 like users. Like I would wish for size 9s to have 2 modes. There should be a dump fire mode. That would be insane cool.
Yeah. Well, there should be different types of missiles and torpedoes that work in different ways.
So if you're going against big target, you can just silently dump size 9s without a missile lock, but they go just straight.
Yeah.
You know. So if you dump in this way on Idrises, for example, to be super silent, right?
They have to pay attention to their radar.
Yeah, and then if you
and
lock
turrets
it, then
should shoot them.
Yeah, that's another topic. I have a thread on Spectrum.
That's a good video, by the way.
Yeah, about that. Yeah. So, and then the second mode would be probably obviously locking, but then, you know, it flies forward, right? Yeah, everything at size 9 should be able to do is like slightly turn, maybe. Not doing circles. It's just insane.
It's amazing that they can move as fast as we are in ships, and like, you know, when you're going like 1,000 meters per second and you can't turn, but the missiles can.
Yeah. Well, they can flip 180.
Yeah.
They can flip 180 and instantly turn in the other direction. It's insane. But I was about to say, can you imagine how fun it would actually be if you're in an eclipse, right? A stealth eclipse, and you had dumb firing torpedoes, because the game would be how close can you get to that Idris without them actually picking you up,
or how far you want to risk it, right?
Yeah,
how far I want to risk it.
Before we move on to anything else, this is something I always forget to do when we have like awesome conversations like this. I forget to let chat know that the people watching live, you're able to join us on the show and call in. So we have 2 people in line right now. We probably won't have too many more than that. So if you want to be a part of this discussion as well, that's really what the show's all about. I tend to not bring on content creators that often, but when I do, I like to do stuff like this where these are the guys that are knowledgeable on these subjects. And if you want to have discussions about this with them, you can. So feel free to join the Discord, and the mods will take care of you and check your mics and everything and make sure you're good, and then they'll push you into the queue. So make sure you guys consider that if you haven't yet. Yeah, I don't know. It's so if you were going to change the implementation of missiles a little bit, you would just basically make them not as maneuverable, right? As far as how they move.
Yeah. It's all it like the different like factors. It's like the tracking cone of a missile, its ability of rotation, and that's the main things. Speed is not the main problem. Okay. It's about the tracking cone and rotation. Speed should, I don't think
I actually like the speed of the torpedoes and the missiles right now.
Yeah,
because sized ones can catch up to even like fighters that are trying to run. And torpedoes, I think torpedoes top out at like 900
something.
I think so.
Yeah, I think like they should not really top out at anything when they're fixed properly. It should be the acceleration and the relative speed to the target ship. So then
it'd be about kiting them rather than just like running them in a straight line.
Yeah, so if it goes like insane speed on you, sometimes it's even better. You can easily kite it and then it goes away, and that's it. Bye-bye, you know?
Interesting. I wanted to touch on this too. Do you think your main problem is 50-player servers?
One of the main problems, yes.
Yeah. I think it's oh god. It's
like, what if 50 of the players just are screenshotters, you know? Like, what do you do?
That's how it works.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a risk you take. This is something I'm constantly having. Like, I'll be on my stream and I'll explode with rage because I'm like, there's nobody to fight. And then I have to just stop and smell the roses. Maybe not roses, whatever. But
smell the potential.
I have to, yeah, exactly. I have to remind myself that there's an awful lot that's so reliant on server meshing. And you have to bear in mind that the way server meshing is going to, so a quick TLDR for those that don't know, way server meshing is going to work is that we have object container streaming in the game now, and they'll be able to break individual containers down into servers. So for example, if I am at a, say Station Gundo, right? Say Station Gundo is its own, which is the abandoned station, is its own container. Say the limit of servers is still 50, but we have static server meshing. Well, that can be its own server. So you could, in theory, have 50 people inside Gundo all fighting each other.
Yeah.
Right. And the same goes for, Herson could be a container. So say Herson's a container and I'm just around Herson trying to find people. I'm more likely to run into people because there's 50 people around Hurston rather than 50 people across the whole of Stanton. And it's, it's frustrating, but I have to keep reminding myself that
and
there's
then
so
the
much reliant on
dynamic
that.
server meshing when it's gonna kick in, it means like if there is a Trem and Myers and there is more than 50 people at Trem and Myers, that means Trem and Myers will not get instanced. Pay attention here. There will not be second Trem and Myers, right? There
I
will
learned
be
this the other day.
there will
how
be
this is gonna work.
one Trem and Myers that's gonna be serviced by multiple servers. So there is like a bunch of people here on Trem and Myers, and then a bunch of people here. So they're gonna split, basically creating two grids, and those grids in the bright future of Star Citizen. Like we will see how they manage to pull this off. I don't know. But
So the idea is, imagine you can connect to multiple Discord servers and connect the same channel at the same time and hear everything that everybody's saying in all of those channels.
Yeah,
that's a really lame way of explaining it.
Yeah, but it is so that the moment that happens, Star Citizen will change.
Yeah,
imagine
for everybody, not just for
Yeah.
PvPers or pirates, for everybody.
The point is, the moment that happens, we are the one who gonna get hunted.
Yep.
We're gonna be fucked.
We are gonna stop being the hunters, and we will look for like shelter in Pyro and everything else. Because when there is 100 bounty hunters on one server at Stenton chasing SpaceCutlet, SpaceCutlet will run. He's not stupid.
I'm not standing around. I'll be gone.
So when you go to Trem and Myers, you're not waiting for hours for a caterpillar. You see 20 caterpillars, but guess what? Few of them will definitely have protection.
Yeah. Oh,
so it's going to be totally different.
What do you think about the turret changes, and how have you experienced them against ships like caterpillars? Are they able to fight back?
Can I get on this level, please?
Yeah.
So I'm asking for a word because I was a huge advocate of turrets. Like since the beginning, the thing I was saying, we've been said the word multi-crew for years.
Mm-hmm.
And it always came up in the Chris speeches and everyone, multi-crew. And I was always like, guys,
where is
you're
it?
speaking multi-crew. Where is it? Like, it's turrets. Turrets is the first implementation of multi-crew. Do it now, you know? And finally, it's here. I must say, they did a wonderful job on turrets. Wonderful. There are very little points when I say CAG did something marvelous.
For the first time ever since the Hammerhead was implemented into Star Citizen,
it made
seeing
sense.
a fully crewed Hammerhead is finally scary when you're in an arrow. All right,
it is.
Like,
yes,
for the first time ever.
But there is always a but. You know, it's 90% there, and there is like 10% of more work. It's even more about the balancing now. We have the turret gameplay, and now we need balancing around those turrets. We need to understand such ships as Hammerhead, right? It is an anti-fighter ship. It is the main purpose of a Hammerhead is like to kill fighters, to be a shield for other big ships. So it takes like from 7 to 10 people to multi-crew a Hammerhead. If we take into consideration, there should be maybe engineers in the future, not only gunners and a pilot, right?
Well, don't worry, they're working on the fire tech, so that's coming. And the seaweed.
So can actually a Hammerhead deal with 10 fighters? That's a question, which will really be like bashing it, right? Can it? Does it need more shields now? Does it need a third shield? And, you know, all the questions. Then take into consideration ships like Hurricane. Is it, the turrets are fine, but is it really a good thing to fly a Hurricane? My tests would say no.
Okay.
Because it's still a fun ship. It's not a competitive PvP solution. Because
another problem again, I'm sorry, is server meshing. As Detox found out the other day, if you get a load of people into your Hammerhead, you're taking up a chunk of the server.
Oh, of course.
In your Hammerhead.
Yeah, that's true. It's the same thing when we run a pirating party. We're taking like 1/5 to a quarter of a player because we need the scouting and we need all that. And that's
This is why I tell my viewers to fuck off and leave me alone. I don't want them taking up the entire server.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want targets of opportunity, please.
Yeah, unless they want to fight. Yeah.
Luckily, my guys do. My guys are legends, so that's good.
So yeah, like ships like Hurricane need more balancing now because, like, what a gunner has 4 side 3s. It's a loadout of a saber, right? And then a pilot has even less damage output, right? So basically, why not run 2 sabers instead of 1 Hurricane, which share much more shield HP, much more hull HP, better profile, better maneuverability, different positioning, and all that. So that those things now have to be balanced really good because the turrets are so good right now. And maybe more fixed assist for ships. Like if they can balance the fixed assist, the turrets get differently depending on a turret size or a ship. I would say ships like Hurricane need more fixed assist, or other systems like sticky aiming, but I don't really want to get like a deep dive.
There's already people complaining about fixed assist though.
I haven't heard any complaints about it.
Oh, dude.
Have they?
Dude.
I am in my own little space, so I don't see it very much.
I think a big part of the problem is a lot of people don't realize that assists are a thing in gaming in general. If you're playing Call of Duty, you're not as good as you actually think you are. You need assists to help you with generally the controllers, but desync, if you turn off ESP, and there are some weird people who do fly without ESP, like I personally can't do it. It's incredible how difficult it is to try and hit a target even without ESP.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have anybody able to fight back with turrets in Caterpillars, or are you mostly still coming across these solo traders that
Solo traders mostly. Yeah. We fought 3-9, a battle pillar brought by Synthesit, and
that is so good.
And it properly equipped battle pillar.
Yeah. Battle pillar
in 3-9 with like military grade components and with shit controls of the turrets.
We're in atmosphere as well.
Was already as something weird to experience.
What I look forward to is because they've just upgraded the weapons on the command module of the Caterpillar. I look forward to when you can actually disconnect that command module.
Oh, I look forward to dropping down my crew and bye-bye losers and flying away in a command module.
It's going to be so good. But I wonder how good the command module is actually going to be, because it's going to be...
It's like a little dart.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like a big herald, really, but it's got big guns on it. So... who knows?
Maybe. That's interesting, though. So even in 3-9, it was kind of dangerous. So it
wasn't dangerous, but you could see the potential.
Gotcha.
And now with these turrets, if you actually remove energy guns, remove energy cannons, and put something like repeaters, energy repeaters,
all they were missing was a full broadside of men
with
railguns.
Yeah.
Or Animus launchers. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. Because we tried once doing this stuff. We had 5 people broadside. It's really hard to hit. But if those 5 people were not with railguns but with Animuses, that might have caused some issues to the attacker, actually.
But that would have taken up too many people on the server, so we can't do that till server
of course.
True, of course. Yeah, that's interesting.
But overall, turrets are a marvelous job on CG side.
Yeah,
marvelous.
I agree.
Yeah. I'm not sure what else to discuss. If you guys think that there's anything else as a pretty casual person I might have missed that you want to touch on, now would be a great time.
I can go through some usual stuff that people talk about piracy.
Go for it.
Just to have some laugh.
Yeah.
Because I had recently another podcast about piracy, right?
Sure.
And I'm going right now through comments on YouTube on that podcast, and there is lines like, I made millions and millions running out of Walla last patch. Never met a pirate, and only 2 other traders. I could have made more elsewhere, but I have a policy of never paying pirates, and this is what I want.
And that's the problem.
No. That's not a problem.
Okay.
It's a mentality.
Yeah.
That person will see for
He's an American.
themselves. That person will see for themselves if it's good or bad. What I wanted to point out is the person actually used more than one brain cell to understand that go to Walla and no pirate will bother camping Walla just for only you.
Yeah.
They will go to mass routes, the
problem is these people aren't willing to engage in roleplay. Like, all I'm asking is for more people to engage in roleplay, and roleplay is the victim, right?
Yeah,
and actually pay the pirate.
The point is, you cannot actually force people into something. But the main thing is, please, people who don't want to engage with us and don't want to go into this, don't force your vision on gameplay upon us.
Yeah. It's got to have a balance to that. And even if they can have that stance, right? Like that's a very American stance. Like, we do not negotiate with terrorists.
Oh, that's what we're called usually. That's what we're called usually.
But that's technically what you are in a way, and it's not a bad thing. Being a pirate and being a terrorist, those are needed in this game for it to be this.
It's gameplay.
Proper experience.
Come on.
Again, you go back to UO. It was necessary. It was an amazing. I started out as a very casual player there, right? I was just mining my little Valorite, and the run back to Brit Bank with the Valorite was a scary experience.
Do you know what? I was playing with Cutlet. One. Wait, hang on. Whoa! Don't clip that out of context, chat. I was playing Star Citizen with Cutlet one day, right? And we pirated somebody at BezTech, I think it was, right? A guy in his Caterpillar, and no joke, it was one of the most humble experiences of, not humble, what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever. He actually came back later on, and I can't remember, he either come into my stream or he come into Cutlet's stream. I think it was Cutlet's stream. And he was like, "Thank you so much for that. I've never been pirated before." That
Are
was
you talking about Bridget?
Yes.
Yeah, he was a freelancer Max, and he is now rolling.
Oh, that was
us.
it.
He was now rolling with us every day.
Yeah. But he was like, "Thank you for that. I've never had an experience like that before. That was awesome." And now he hangs out with us every day.
It's crazy.
It's so good, man. I love it.
Oh, he's in chat.
There we go.
There he is.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, and that's why why I wanted to have you guys here is there's so much to this, and it's so not what everyone's making it out to be, where it's like this, you're ruining my game experience. It's like, no, they're enjoying theirs.
Yeah, you trying to bad log while in PvP counter, that is griefing. That is fucking griefing. You literally break the rules of the game. The raw mechanics that are not supposed to be abused. You are griefing, not we. Telling me to choke on my own dick. That's you are shit talking me.
Joke's on you. I do it every day. It was back in 3.9, right? We would have to make sure that we are out of range so they can't see us on radar. And we have a stealth ship nearby to wait until they've actually moved out of the armistice before we go and actually engage them. Because the problem was, they would just spot us on radar and then immediately go to the bed log out, hop onto a different server.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got life threats recently, a month ago.
I've had those as well, don't you worry.
Welcome to having more than 5 viewers on the internet. It's just
it's I mean, obviously I take it as a laugh because you cannot scare the shit out of the guy who lives in Ukraine, right?
Yeah,
it's not even possible, right?
Yeah.
But the guy I see your stream now. I've paid already $3,000 on PayPal to guys in your country to find you and like kind
Wow.
of talk sense into you. I'm like, bruh, you cannot even transfer to Ukraine with PayPal. Come on, PayPal doesn't work here. What are we talking about? You know?
Joke's on you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the internet. It's so ridiculous, but it's also kind of freaky at the same time.
Yeah, I don't.
People
really...
take it way too personally sometimes.
Yes,
and there is the guy, like I'm going through those comments, and there is the guy saying that how can I take seriously SpaceCutlet when he literally admits to pad ramming someone in Armistice Zone, and it was funny.
If you're abusing the way the game's mechanics work, then I'm happy to pad ram people. It's like, for example, people who use retaliators at Port Olisar, right, and they poke the nose of retaliator out of Armistice, fire torpedoes, and then just reverse back in and go get more torpedoes. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking pad ram you. Of course I am, you douchebag.
Yeah, and that comment was while I was on that podcast that I admitted I pad rammed a person on Bezdek who bad logged into his cat, and that's the only reason I would really pad ram, when a person just escapes PvP encounter by abusing the bad log. So I Armistice Zone pad rammed him, and this guy makes a whole bunch of like shit talk because of that. Like, come on, like you don't escape PvP like this.
What's keeping them from having like the Daisy 15-second, 30-second, 1 minute logout timer?
It's not low hanging fruit.
Yeah, it's like
it's as simple as that.
It's more difficult than
they would have to have.
Gotcha.
You know,
it's like there has to be a proper system. Like, again, I'll bring up even line to this. There has to be a proper system of timers overall.
Yeah,
there should be different timers for
combat timers.
Yeah, for you being attacked by a player, for you being attacked by NPC, for you attacking a player, for you attacking an NPC. And
I love people in my chat very often get triggered when I use EVE Online as examples of what works well. I don't know why anybody would ever be concerned over a streamer or anybody using an example of what works well, but they get triggered by EVE Online for some reason, or even Elite Dangerous. But combat timers is something that EVE does incredibly well.
Yep.
For example, if you there are different types of timers, but you get like NPC combat timers and PvP combat timers. If you engage another player, you can't go and dock for like 10, 15 minutes or however long that timer is. You know,
it's actually very small. It's actually very small, but it's enough to get wrecked, not being able to dock.
Yeah,
it's like 30. It's like 1 minute. If comparing to every other EVE timer, this one is very small. But again, that's the talk to the Armistice Zone. Remember what we've said previously, right? About no Armistice Zones. Just when you request docking at some distance, you get like tethered and you have the protection, right? So if you take off and engage with someone, you have this timer of like whatever 1 minute or something, and then when you request docking, the station will go, no bruh, denied, just chill off a bit, you know. So you cannot like abuse those things, and when they actually implement all of those timers, it will kind of make sense, you know. People will stop like bad logging, and it's like really bad that even YouTubers, some content creators promote, oh, if you're getting pirated, just bad log. Like, really?
Yeah, not only that, I've literally watched streamers stream sniping people live on their streams. They've even had the streamer's video up on stream. It's pretty ouch.
Yeah, they can stream snipe me how much they want. I don't care.
I mean, I assume most of you guys don't mind it because it just brings a little bit more action.
It brings PvP at the end of the day, but it's not something that should be promoted. Of
course,
you know, I don't think like I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I think on stream sniping argument overall, because we had that drama going on like a few months ago.
If you're a streamer, you should expect to be stream sniped. It's as simple as that. I'm sorry.
I think even Blizzard, if I'm not mistaken, with its casual World of Warcraft, takes that standpoint. You are the streamer. You are putting up your location, and everything else.
I
It's
don't
up to you
understand
to
why
protect yourself.
CIG have stepped in with this
No
rule.
idea.
It's so
No idea.
silly. I think it's as simple as they want their terms of service to be so broad, so that it's a bit like the Harry Potter Elite Dangerous situation, right?
Yeah.
Harry Potter didn't get banned from Elite Dangerous for playing the game like a dick. Harry Potter got banned because of something he said on his own website about Elite Dangerous.
Yep.
If you have these broad rules,
You can
ban
nail
somebody
anyone.
for anything.
Yeah.
You know,
If
it's
you
as
don't
simple
like
as that.
someone, you come out. Yeah. And this like stream sniping thing comes in again. I don't want any names, right? I won't name anything, but there's a lot of content creators on Twitch who are with the game for years, yet they never thought about, I'm sorry, but just fucking getting good. Easy as that.
Hello, my name's Mike.
They
Hi, Mike.
have Mike. How often do you actually cry about getting stream sniped?
Initially, it's like the first thing I do. Like, I get killed, I'm like, oh, god damn it, fucking stream sniping loser. But then, like, 2 seconds later, I go, yeah, it's just the initial frustration. But then 2 seconds later, I get reminded by chat, like, he was on your radar for plenty of time for you to see it. You had all these opportunities to survive. You're just bad.
Yeah, but how often do you bring this up to CAG?
Never.
Exactly.
Never. I was there. There was only one time when it was an absolute 100% being sniped situation. Like,
I once
switched servers, covered my screen, went to a certain moon. 2 seconds later, a missile came out of nowhere and I was killed. Like, and that would imply that they weren't watching my screen. It wasn't 2 seconds. It took them a few minutes, but they eventually went to them when I was on, scanned the shit out of it, and found me. And I was killed.
I once got accused of stream sniping by somebody whose stream team I used to be in.
Yeah.
And they didn't even approach me and ask, what was that? They just accused me flat out on their stream of stream sniping.
But was it that initial reaction that even I have? Because it's just like, oh, maybe fuck, they got me.
But that is what I saw, right? Because that was the clip that was sent to me.
And what I'm saying, what I do is not right. That is not the way to go about it. But it is always the first thought that comes to your mind, and I can't avoid it.
Yeah.
But I need to not say it.
So what I do, I don't know if you do this, but what I do is you can bait stream snipers, right? So the way that you do it is that you say, "Oh, right, I'm gonna head to so-and-so location." Yeah.
And then you warp to SPK.
Yeah, and there's certain things that if you say it on stream and you basically see how they react.
I don't really get stream sniped anymore though, because I don't give a shit. The game is completely irrelevant at the moment. So it doesn't give. I don't give them any rise. They gain nothing from it. I just go, all right.
The moment
I'll just log back in.
To it, you're basically fueling the fire.
Yeah, I just log back in and keep talking to my Twitch chat. Like literally, Star Citizen is just a screensaver on my stream at the moment.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
I think I actually got stream sniped for the first time, like properly, last week. And you know what I did? I didn't even acknowledge the fact I was being stream sniped. I knew I was being stream sniped. And it was by an organization. I didn't even acknowledge the fact that I was being stream sniped. I could see all the markers, or I could see on radar outside of the hangar at Grimhex. I didn't even open the doors. I sat there for about 20-25 minutes just talking to my chat.
Yeah.
Until eventually I got kicked out of the server. And then I just went on to a different server.
Yeah, it's so easy. Whatever. Like, you can always switch the server and let them bother with joining to another server.
Yeah, because then it creates the work it's not worth the effort.
Yeah, and that's the first thing. And then the second thing, I acknowledge that. I can, that was totally a stream snipe, but do I even, like, react like it's something bad? No. Okay, fine.
It's whatever. It's part of the job.
Whatever. Like, I don't really
Pretty
care.
Much.
Part of the job.
Exactly.
I don't really care.
Yeah, it's really not that big of a deal. It's interesting though, because that whole thing came out, and that was the only time I really addressed it, was when that whole thing happened. And and I went on Virgil's podcast, and I tried to explain.
That was a really good podcast.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun there.
Really, really good.
And like the main point I really needed to make was that like you're stream sniping to try and get a PvP reaction, and I thought that was a good part of that post. Is like, we want you guys to respond to PvP with PvP, and I think that's what a lot of those guys were trying to do. But the thing is you're not going to get that result, because the again, what we've talked about a lot on this show today was there's no risk and reward. There's no penalty for losing your ship. There's no emotions that should really get invoked out of anything, because it doesn't matter, right? It's all play money now.
There are a few industrial streamers that I really respect. You for one, Tessa D for another, who is a mining streamer, and Super Jeff, right? And it's purely because I think you all have the right attitude, which is whatever happens, and generally don't get mad. And the thing I love about Super Jeff gets so he can get quite active in global chat, but it's in a very RP way, right? As in, I'm gonna get you, you pirate scum. And I love that. That's so good.
I want to get mad.
I love him calling me a butt pirate. I enjoy that.
I want to get mad. Like, this goes back to the Ultima Online days. Now, I don't know how long you played Cutlet. Like, if you were around when there was champion spawns, but champion spawns.
No, I don't remember anything of it. It was like back in the early days of it, and then I switched to Eve. Gotcha.
They had dungeons that they put in later after they changed from when they put Trammel in, to make it so you wanted to go back to Felucia and actually be there. So they made spawns that were only there, that had very, very special things that casuals wanted, that everybody wanted. So everybody had to go there, right? And the idea of going to someplace dangerous and surviving and coming out alive is the best feeling ever. But the second best feeling ever to the feeling of fear the entire time until you survive. And that's what I want out of the game, and there needs to be that.
There are people in this game, even without consequences, right? There are people in this game where when I engage them in a dogfight, I am physically shaking.
Yeah.
I can't aim for shit. And I can pretty much always lose the fight just because I'm shaking so much and I can't aim. I don't know what it's going to be like when we actually have consequences.
Yeah.
But I love it. That's why I play this game.
Oh,
you know,
dude.
And what I look forward to the most, consequences.
I need to stop looking at chat, but somebody in chat types, I want to play games to relax, not to be stressed constantly. What do you guys think about that? Because I think that they can do that in Star Citizen, and I think that they don't have to feel the way we feel. I think what's good about this game is that we can feel the way we feel, and you can feel the way you feel, and everybody can be happy.
Everybody wants something different from a game, right? And I think you can get both of those things from Star Citizen.
Because then people are saying in chat, play a different game. That's not the response.
No, that's not. I don't think that's a good attitude to have. I hate people saying play a different game. I want people to play Star Citizen. But look, if I want to relax, right, I'll go to Grimhex. I'll go to that new area they've created. I'll buy a friggin' whiskey and cola from the bartender, and I'll eventually play on the arcade machines or something when those are working. Because that's the thing that's going to be working.
And you know what you won't be doing then? You won't be freaking mining 20 kilometers from Grimhex.
Yeah,
no, I won't.
And I think that's sort of where I'm going. Like, what's the argument there with the fact that, like, okay, if you want to relax, then maybe you would go mining on Terra. Maybe you'd go mining around in another star system. And Cutlet, you jumped in earlier when I mentioned that about, like, not agreeing with it. But I get what you're saying, that Stanton is enough. There's enough in Stanton that you can be safe.
You just don't mine around Grimhex. You go to random location. Like, you have infinite number of kilometers you can go to mine, and never, ever anyone will find you, because we don't even have proper long, deep scanning to find you.
Yeah.
That's it. You can go to Aaron Halo Belt.
Yep.
Imagine the amount of kilometers it is there in 3D space.
Well, excuse me, Mr. SpaceCutlet, but until patch 3.10, mining in Aaron's Halo Belt didn't work.
Yeah, but
so
it
I couldn't
previously.
Go there. I know. I'm just kidding.
Previously, I mined there myself, right, to check out what's going on. So it didn't work. It worked. It will work again.
Of course.
And then even if you take the yellow belt, if you don't mine at an OM point, or like somewhere like literally, 20 kilometers from any point of interest, the chances you will not relax are pretty slim. You will relax, just have it.
But
Unless
again,
you,
I know people who intend to play this game as space bums, right? They intend to do nothing other than own no ships and just hitch rides everywhere.
Yeah.
I know people who only really want to play this game to socialize. It's like playing EVE Online. One of the things that ultimately wasn't added to the game, but I was most excited for that was supposed to be coming, was walking in stations, right? And because walking in stations was supposed to be a social experience. And I think one of the things that will think about the original Star Wars movies, right? One of the things that made the new Star Wars movies shit, sorry guys if you like them, compared to the original Star Wars movies, was the fact that you had the moments of action followed by the moments of calm where Luke was kissing his sister, right? That was lovely. That's something we all do, right?
We don't all kiss our sister, dude. Come on.
Well, each to their own. But like, in Star Citizen, I want moments of my heart rate being 130, 140, 150, right? Followed by, damn, we just kicked those guys' asses. Let's go back to Grim Hex and chill for a little bit before we log out. And just like have fun with our friends. It's an MMO experience. Like it doesn't constantly have to be us in dogfights and us. Oh
if you don't go over and pet that belly right now.
Oh my god, that's so cute. That's so cute.
Go pet that belly.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh, look at the leg. Sorry, I'm done. Done.
But, yeah, I think everybody can get what they want out of the game. I just think that we're expressing what we really enjoy about games, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about. You guys ready to take some calls?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
All right, let's see. First caller is Gorgon the Destroyer. We're bringing him on. If it lets me bring him down, there we go. Gorgon, what's up? Hopefully you're there. You've been waiting a long time.
It's Chris Roberts. It's not Gorgon.
Okay.
It is a pleasure to meet you all for the very first time.
Hello, Gorgon.
I imagine this isn't the very first time, but what's up, man?
Oh, I just wanted to ask a completely unbiased question about PvP, which is something I know nothing about.
Okay.
What do you think needs to be done to have a more meaningful PvP experience? Not from like a balancing and like
I've already said it.
Model and stuff. Like
I've already said it. I think
economy and like objective stuff.
Consequences, man. Absolutely. Like, if your character actually dies, that's going to mean something, right? And we know that we're not going to die on the first time we get knocked out or whatever. But like, I think prisons were actually one of the best things that happened to Star Citizen in a long time. And that might sound crazy coming from somebody who's just spent the last 3 months whinging about prisons.
Yeah, we didn't talk too much about them, actually.
But I think, well, we can talk about it now, Mike.
Go for it.
So I think the issue that I have with prisons is that there are too many bugs that can send you to prisons easily, right? Like, one of my favorite ways of going to prison in 3.9 was falling down the stairs. That was great. Getting trapped in an elevator door and then dying. That was a fun way to go to prison. But one of the positive things that came out of prisons was it taught me to play the game a lot more carefully. I wouldn't just suddenly gung-ho into a friggin' combat scenario where it's like 10 versus 1 like I used to. Now I'm actually way more cautious going into those combat scenarios. And it's slowed down my combat my combat experience in the game. But if I wanted like the non-stop flow of combat, is Arena Commander, right? That's what Arena Commander was supposed to be. And I have to constantly remind myself that Star Citizen was supposed to be the place, you know, the game that I play where I feel like I'm living in a universe rather than just constantly respawning over and over and over. So I think prisons was a great first step. Todd Pappy recently talked about hospitals, which if they're working on hospitals, that actually makes me really, really happy.
Why? I didn't really get what the difference would be.
Well, I guess the difference would be, you know, when you die and you're sent to prison, you're stuck there for 13 hours if you have a level 5 crime stat, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you die and you go to prison, you'll probably have to pay a lot of money, or you'll essentially maybe have a fine put against you or something like that that you'd have to pay off.
Oh, you mean hospitals? I think you said
What did I
prison
say?
again.
Yeah,
I think you said prison again.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Hang on. Oh, sorry, I've emptied the bottle. That's the problem.
Oh, so
yeah,
okay, so
right?
you're going to pay a hospital bill. So there is consequence.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
So hospitals I'm really excited for. And ultimately, the idea of death, I think is actually really, really exciting. But that's how I think personally PvP could be or will be more exciting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if we are not talking about any kind of balancing, like how ships should fly and all that, it's totally what Noodle said. It is consequences on both sides. I feel totally fine that consequences on criminals are harsher than on blueies, but they shouldn't be able to backspace and respawn. And then obviously the objectives that drive the PvP. Objectives.
Yeah.
Whether that be trading, right now we have only that. And everything else, like whatever, bases, capturing stuff, like, you know,
we need to be encouraged to PvP.
Gaining profit from controlling those objectives. Anything. Like, we need objectives. Whether those objectives will be CAG created, I would personally prefer a player-driven objectives, but they need to be
something
there, so it's meaningful.
Something that I mentioned too, this was a whole conversation I had with Craiglin recently. Something I'd love to see is something similar to, and I agree, I want to see player-created objectives. But something like a Rathi Basin, not a Rathi Basin. What's the friggin' arena in Stranglethorn Vale called in World of Warcraft? Basically, there's an arena in World of Warcraft in Stranglethorn Vale. And several times a day, or maybe it's just once a day, basically treasure spawns there, right?
Yeah.
And it's a PvP environment. Gurubashi, thank you, Amadeus. The Gurubashi arena. And treasure spawns there, and everybody fights over it. It doesn't matter what faction you're on. It's man against man. Sorry, person against person. And what that does is, I want player-created PvP, but at least that's a funnel, and that would be at a certain time of day. So at least I can expect PvP at this location at this time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, generally we need to see more funneling of players into a location.
Yeah, definitely.
And it can be done. It can be done within lore, right? Like, that's the whole thing. It's gotta be within lore.
I mean, like, look, aerial, all that, those are also objectives.
Yeah.
There is just this thing that we don't have 7 meshing. Like, there would be really, even with the current, like, game, like, if you take the current state of the game with Stenton, but add up 7 meshing, right? There would be no problems at all.
Yeah.
Like, there will be so many players at every point of interest. You will decide where and how you want to PvP, on what terms. It just, the lack of the artificially created objectives and the lack of 7 meshing, that's what drives us a bit insane sometimes.
Somebody in chat, Greyface in Space, said, yeah, they could add a location where high-value drugs spawn, for instance. That's all we need, right? Doesn't that sound great? That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. I mean,
a location for players to fight over.
But guess what? We had that.
Yeah.
Oh, did we?
But what's the difference? But what's the difference between Tram and Myers and, like, does it matter what it is? I know it was high value, but so are these items too. People are making insane amounts of money per hour doing this stuff. Does it really come down to the fact that, like even the first, like, one of the earlier discussions is people getting upset for you ruining their gameplay because they're not recognizing that what they're doing may be risky.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
the amount of
it's too spread out now.
Yeah, it's too spread. Like we have this, and like back in the 3.4. Again, I don't want to get really like tunnel visioned on Jump Town. It was a thing, and we have to move on.
Yes.
The game
Yeah.
has to develop, right?
Yeah.
It's just
Here's the thing: the truth of the matter is.
Okay.
The truth of the matter is, by the end of 3.4, Jump Town was stale, and there were nowhere near as many people going to Jump Town as there were earlier on in the patch.
Yeah.
And I think part of that reason as well is there aren't enough expenditures in the game,
Money
right?
things.
Because
It's
people
not
have built up their pot of money. They're now space smaug. Congratulations. And they've got nothing to spend their money on. Well, at least now we have almost all the ships in the game available to buy in game, which is nice. But not everybody feels they need to buy every ship. Yeah. So I think one of the problems that we're having going from 3.8 to 3.9 to 3.10, holy shit, I need to stop drinking when I'm on podcasts, is that people are going from patch to patch, not being wiped, and they have large sums of money, right? So what are they going to spend their money on? Maybe torpedoes? Maybe torpedoes should be made 60,000 alpha UEC. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Maybe
and then it dials down to my old talk about how economy works. I don't even know if I should really get into this, but the NPC-driven economy, what I'm afraid of, like what's the difference between, again, I'm sorry, EVE Online and Star Citizen. The NPC-driven economy may or may not end up being just a grind fest where you will have websites that will analyze the API of the game and tell you, okay,
an API, wow.
This location today is like the best one to grind. People go grind, and in the end, they end up with having all the ships, and it's gonna get so stale. Like the whole idea of how EVE works. I'm sorry again for bringing this up. Is this loss of everything, including ship, which is if you have a good ship, you cannot even insure it properly, right? And this keeps this never-ending player-based economy rolling. People produce stuff, they fight for the resources to produce stuff, to lose that stuff in a fight for the resources. I don't know how CAG is going to do that, so I don't really want to brag about it too much, because maybe they have some genius plan, but it may end up like being a bit stale in the end. It also depends like how the components and all the things work. Like we were sad that if we lose our ship somewhere in the 0-0, like no security space in Star Citizen, the only insurance that will work is going to be the basic one, which is like LTI, or if you pay for the same like basic insurance, and it will get you a stock ship. And maybe they will make it so the components cost, the high grade components cost like 10 times the ship price. So if you have
not only that, they're going to be subcomponents as well.
Yeah, basically if you have a Gladius for $1 million, to have a super cool Gladius, you have to pay like 10 million for that, right? And then the Gladius will not matter, right? It will be just a hull, right?
Yeah.
But maybe that's going to be a thing. And then the only way to produce those components would be without the NPCs. You have to manually manufacture them, have your own outposts, bring in the resources to those outposts, and then you like sell those like CF repeaters that deals twice the damage or whatever, I don't know, on the market, on the player-based market. We don't know that at all, right? So it's hard to speculate on that. But it always like kind of was alien to me that we have this like insurance system of how it works in Star Citizen, where you get back the ship with the stock components, and the only way to get the ship is either go to a new deal or NPC seller, or get them on the website, right? And I think that will cripple a lot what players are able to do in future. For example, if I want to have my own base somewhere in Pyro or God-forsaken system with my outpost and be self-sufficient, I will not probably be able to do so, because I will still rely on bringing ships and buying ships from NPCs, and that really bothers me. But that's personally me, because I'm an Ultima Online guy and I'm the EVE Online guy, and not everyone is like me, right? It's and it may cripple in the end. It may cripple a bit this player-driven PvP scale where you do stuff. That's the question was initially, right? How you encourage PvP and how you make it good, right? Because if everything is around the NPC economy, it may be a bit crippled in the future, because like the money will grow on people and they will kind of afford stuff, and then they will cap out.
And what about the fact that just killing NPCs is nowhere near as rewarding as killing other players or interacting with other players?
Whoa. I'll have you know, I've had many a chubby off killing NPCs.
In Star Citizen?
No, I'm joking.
What was on your other screen?
Seriousness.
What was on your other screen?
In all seriousness, like going forward, we're supposed to be getting Ace Combat AI, and we're not supposed to be able to tell the difference between a player and an NPC, right?
Is spacebar not going to be a thing in a name?
I don't know. I've always said that I would be absolutely fine with just killing NPC. Well, actually, no, I wouldn't be.
No, you wouldn't.
But I would rather. I would rather at least be shooting at something, right? Yeah. Than shooting at nothing.
Yeah, and then eventually maybe somebody would come around. But the I'm with Cutlet on this. It should be really different than any other game with this. I mean, we both come from similar backgrounds where you were kind of self-efficient in Ultima Online, right? You had multiple characters, you could do everything yourself, you had your house, everybody was in it. And I just don't see that existing in this game as much either. Maybe a little bit more than you do, because I don't think self-sufficiency, I don't know, maybe. It just depends. Like
it's not about the self-sufficiency exactly.
Okay.
It's about the possibility of
it. Yeah,
right. I think you'd have to work really hard. Well,
exactly. It doesn't mean like every player has to be self-sufficient, no. But there has to be a possibility of building that empire, and then when it is a possibility, and there is actually not NPC on top of the pyramid, but a player on top of one of the existing pyramids, right?
Yep.
Then working inside of that pyramid instantly becomes not just grinding gold in World of Warcraft, but working towards a bigger goal that is player driven. And that's my main problem. And you can utilize Quanta in that system, so you can like hire Quanta.
What would that goal look like?
Oh, that's the point. That's the point. It has no visual appearance. This goal is up to a player to decide how it looks like for the player itself, right? For himself, right? So it's up to a player to decide how that goal looks like. For every player, they decide, do they want to be a part of the pyramid? Do they want to be at top of the pyramid? Do they want to travel the universe without having a ship, like Noodle said, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the real question is, are we getting a trading card game in Star Citizen?
Oh yes, that is. Really.
A bit like friggin' what's that Blizzard game? What's it called? Hearthstone, right?
Hearthstone, yeah.
Or the one from
Starstone.
The Witcher.
I just want poker so I can take all of you guys for all of your money all day.
Thing. EVE Online, when I was talking earlier on about like the social module, right? They were going to implement poker and stuff, card games that we could actually play in bars, and that's what I was most looking forward to.
Yeah,
I want Magic the Gathering.
You want Magic the Gathering?
Magic the Gathering in Star Citizen, whatever, you know.
Everyone was picking on Gorgon for not being a part of the conversation a few minutes ago.
Sorry, it's so quiet.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
You're just enjoying the conversation anyway, right?
We went off on such a tangent.
I'm just Pepe laughing at chat, dude.
we went off on a tangent, but I think we were still answering his question, you know?
Yeah.
It's driving the PvP.
Yeah.
It's driving the PvP, so it's meaningful, right? How people do enjoy PvP and make it meaningful. And that's like all boils down to like not just having like session-based PvP, but making a like something bigger, and that's where I'm a bit afraid for the I will kind of keep up with the Star Citizen in any way, but that's where I'm really afraid for the scale of the PvP interactions, because people can counter argument that, again, with Eve, like look at the blue donut right now in Eve, like everything is controlled by a big brother, and I get those arguments, and that's is a threat too. But yeah.
Somebody mentioned in chat. I just want to reference this real quick. Somebody mentioned in chat. I think they probably came to the stream a little bit late, but they mentioned that we want, for PvP, we want players to be funneled to a location rather than us hunt it down. We did talk about this a little bit earlier on, but just as a reference for scale, all right, in Star Citizen, and we're talking about Star Citizen now. We're not necessarily talking about Star Citizen in the future. I would just like to see something. I'm being realistic. CIG can change stats and make a location, a popular location for players to trade at now, right?
Yeah.
But to give you an idea of scale, Microtech, the entire planet, and we know that everything is scaled down for Star Citizen, has roughly the same landmass as Canada as a country. So if you're saying go out and hunt it without any sort of funneling, with players being encouraged to go to a location, drop 50 people across Canada and say, go find them. I don't think you're going to find them. You have to have these locations in place that players are funneled to, encouraged to go to. For example, 3.9, it was Beztech and Lathan. 3.8, it was Tram and Myers. 3.4, it was I've forgotten what it's called now. Hang on.
3.4?
Yeah, 3.4.
I don't know.
Jumptown?
Jumptown.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gorgon. Somebody has
Oh,
that brain.
I assumed it was something other than Jumptown.
Jesus Christ, I've lost my mind.
I thought it was so obvious. Yeah, that I was like, it's got to be something else.
You, all of the best PvP I think that we've ever had in this game has always been driven by these locations.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you get rid of these locations? The PvPers end up sitting outside Port Olisar, right?
Yeah.
And then people complain that they're just being griefed and that new players who are playing the game for the first time are just being griefed. So what did CIG do? Now you can no longer create a new character and spawn at Port Olisar. So what do you do now? If you really want to, you can sit outside one of the major cities, but the friggin' armistice zones are so large that you realistically can't catch people there. So what do you do for PvP?
And man, it's so funky too, because do you even really get that much PvP? Like, how would you define it as? I know it's not dogfighting, but like, I don't know, man. Back in the old days with other games that I've played, PvP wasn't dunking on some miner or a trader. It was going to another location and maybe starting out with dunking on a miner and trader that turned into 3 other dudes that were actually willing to fight, that were there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that dials
That's
down.
the point.
Again.
That's the point. If you went to Jumptown, you went
You
there
got
to
both.
make money, but you went there knowing there was PvP. That was the whole point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you went, you couldn't. I would still have people accuse me of being a griefer. Oh, Noodle, you killed me at Jumptown. You're such a griefer.
Yeah.
You went there knowing there was PvP. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just like
Sorry,
Grimhex
sorry.
and SPK
Sorry.
before it.
Exactly. So, and it goes back to the argument: we need objectives, at least artificial right now, to do PvP, because, like, community doesn't realize locations like Ariel and others are PvP locations right now, because that's what we ended up with. Because those the most profitable will be PvP always, right, in the game. So it's just we don't get like actual competition there in terms of PvP. because the community thinks it's just a trade location and they just go there and die, right? And there is not like, if there were a bunch of like more piratey orgs, maybe if that would be happening on every second server, not every 50 server, people will actually start bringing up escorts, and we will have something other than killing like caterpillars.
It wouldn't even have to be escorts. If you got proper reward for pirating or just killing another player, then you would have other pirates trying to take over your location that you're pirating. You know?
Guys, we just talked. Why did you have to bring up escorts? This is something we didn't talk about. Escorts are completely useless in Star Citizen. They are.
That's true.
They are completely useless, right? So, Mike, you're in a prospector, right?
Yep.
And you're mining, right? While you're mining, you don't have a radar, so you're not even aware of the fact that there is a bad guy approaching you. Why CIG thought this was a good idea, I have no idea. CIG, give prospectors a friggin' radar, please. It doesn't make any sense.
That's so true.
So what does having an escort? You could have like 20 people with you. It's not going to stop me from killing you.
No.
Yeah. You'll just rush through those people.
Yeah. You go for your one target and that's it. And especially because a prospector is easy to kill, it's over.
Unless the escort is a really competent person. Like, or few of them, literally. But then it dials down to having 3 people protecting one prospector.
It's not worth it. And how much do you pay that person for protecting you? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. It's also not financially viable.
Like we've been doing... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I don't necessarily expect ships like the Prospector to be made more tanky. But what I would hope for in the future is that ships like the Prospector be able to reverse engineer systems that they have on the ship to essentially like e-warfare or blind scanners of people who are attacking them, right? So you could like put out some sort of pulse and stop them from being able to target you for like 15 seconds or something like that. Just something.
Give yourself a chance.
Like something as simple as not removing the radar from a mining ship when they're mining.
Yeah.
Would be really good.
Yeah, but then again, it also boils down a lot to like the attitude of solo gameplay. So imagine you could have like few escorts for a bunch of prospectors mining, right? And but the people don't do that. They cannot be bothered with that. The major problem with PvE community, they usually cannot be bothered. I'm not saying about everyone, right? I'm just saying about majority. They cannot be bothered with anything. I'll end this with anything, right? Okay.
Well, I want to hear what you have to say about this. And then we'll go on to the next caller. But hold on, I want to hear what he has to say because I do that stuff specifically, right? Like one of the things that we do is every Saturday we get together. Go ahead. Every Saturday we get together and we do like a mining operation where it's a bunch of different miners and all these things. And people always ask, "Do you need an escort?" And I say, no. What's the point? Like I don't really. I'm not bothered with it. Also, I don't know what to like. How much to charge them, and I also don't want to have them sit there and do nothing for 90% of the time. I think it would just be boring. That's the more important one. It was like, yeah, you can escort if you want, but you wouldn't be doing anything.
Well, then this boils down back to the argument of server meshing and inability to scan people, right? But then, so yeah, probably. Maybe there will be no job for them, especially when mining. But if you want to mine in a place where it is like kind of popular or something, I mean, for mining, popular
popular doesn't exist. Yeah,
popular doesn't exist. But let's imagine, right?
Sure.
So you can have like a mining op. So you can have like 5 prospectors or something, and then a few guys who will constantly keep the watch out on the radar. But again, if you want, like mining is very specific right now. Miners can evade like most of the problems by just selecting a proper location, right?
Yeah.
Traders are more tied to outposts. So having escorts like having a caterpillar, right, or multiple caterpillars, and then having ships escorting them, that is something like meaningful to do right now. Because as Noodle says, if he wants to go for a ship, he will kill it, but that's with a prospector. He will not be able to kill like a caterpillar properly equipped just easy as that. Because if an escort is kinda okayish, he will at least missile spam him, right? Unless obviously, unless maybe if Noodle just torps the cat. But then again, escorts should be able to kind of ping around. Yeah, right now with the Eclipse is a bit hard, but overall, if you have like 5 cats trading and few escorts protecting them, Eclipse would probably be able to maybe take down 1, right? But not all of them. So escorting is a thing and it is not a thing. It's kind of debateful, but yeah.
Okay. Gorgon, do you have anything you want to add before we go to the next caller? Because we went off.
No. Well, I mean, I just had. Well, it's not so much like anything to add, but like 30K is a mining corporation, and Seal Club is like a dogfighting competitive whatever.
He's been on the wine too.
Yeah.
And, SpaceCutlet's like a criminal mastermind. So like maybe one of these Saturdays you guys could work on like the greatest crossover episode in history and just like
I'm sure that
merit market.
I've thought about it for a while now. That would be super cool. It's just imagine trying to set that up and getting a 30K.
The biggest merit hole of all times. We gather up and we do that merit extraction plan.
Oh, I'm in. When they fit, okay.
When
they fix, wait. But so you have to put everything in a backpack, right?
Yeah. I can.
So they don't even need to fix the rock. They don't even need to fix the vehicle.
No, that's the point. And you know what's the biggest and greatest point in all of that? You are protected from 30Ks because they don't kill your personal inventory.
It's in your backpack. Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
If it's in your backpack, you're safe.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm in.
Let's do the biggest merit extraction ever.
This is the only opportunity Twitch will ever get to see me mine. Ever.
Yeah.
No, you'll just pick up rocks. You won't mine, actually.
Yeah, you're just gonna.
There we go. Perfect.
But you pick it up, and then you have to look at it, and then you click, and then you wait.
Okay.
Hold on, you still have to wait a little bit longer. Then you pick it up, and then you look at it, and then you can click. But yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you see? Here you go. You see, only morons pay ransom in chat. That's what gets them killed.
Who's that? Oh, yeah, he's just a random in chat. I don't even know him. Yeah, that's what's going to get you killed, but then eventually you getting killed's going to matter, so you might want to pay a ransom, right? I think what you guys are doing is setting up for what the future may be. But Gorgon, I'm going to let you go because I know Avatar Kava's been waiting for a very, very long time, so let me give him a chance to get in here.
All right, this has been Chris Roberts. Buy more spaceships. See you later.
Avatar Kava, thank you so much for waiting, man. I apologize for the wait, but welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Yeah, man.
So thanks for doing this. It's been really enlightening. I know I haven't done much on the PvP end in the verse yet.
Okay.
So getting from Moist and SpaceCutlet has been really cool. Do you feel that server population, I know you guys have touched on this a whole bunch, like be it actual players or Quanta NPCs, does it solve most of the problems we've touched upon? Like for you guys, the world doesn't seem empty because you can have a group of 10 or 15 people and actually have targets of opportunity. I know Moisty said that earlier. And then like as a cargo hauler, I can blend in with this large group that's going between places without worrying about being just this one huge ping on your radar that you're going to hit every single time. I feel like I'm like drawing the lottery as a PvE player because if your group of pirates is there with 30 or 40 people, there's only 10 players to pick from, right? I can't blend in. I'm just going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, I actually think you make a really good point.
It's cool to have the PvE perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right, and I think you bring up a good point. by having server meshing, it not only helps us with targets of opportunity, but I do think it helps people with their overall survivability as well. You know, it's going to come down to a very much, I guess it comes down to luck, really. If you end up in a particular area, in a particular object container where there is an entire friggin' org, a pirate org, then you're gonna be screwed, you know. But yeah, no, generally, I think you're right. But I think even now, if you happen to end up on a server with the likes of myself, or you end up with SpaceCutlet, or you end up with Shadow Moses, or any of the known PvP or pirate orgs, you're gonna, you know, there's a risk if you are running, if you're a trader, for example, and you're running
anything of value, right? Yeah,
exactly, at major trade locations, there's always that risk. So the advice that I would kind of give anybody, really, especially I think once we get dynamic economy in, would be, don't necessarily go for the place that will make you the most money, because that's probably where the pirates are going to be at. Go to the location below that, that makes you slightly less, and you're more likely to run into less issues. I don't know how.
Well, you have to factor in,
or you can just pay protection fee.
Or you can just pay protection.
Like the whole thing is, you have to factor in when you're doing these things the loss. Your losses too. And if you're going to the most profitable location, is it really most profitable if 50% of the time you're losing your whole haul? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and like also think of this. Personally, like we, like the golden eggplants, right? We think always of, okay, like how we make this deal meaningful for a trader, right? We don't tell him, hey, pay when we catch him. We don't tell him, hey, pay us like 70% of your cargo price. Like, yeah, because like, why would he do that? It's like already almost a full loss. He'll just self-destruct and that's it. We always, when we charge someone, when we hot drop on him, we always charge like usually less than his profit from the run. So he still profits when doing the run, you know? Yeah. So even if you get in that situation, and yes, server meshing, again, as I say, will definitely help PvE players, because usually PvE players PvE players combined with the good guys PvP players is usually the majority. So the moment the server meshing is in, that's what I said. When you go to Trem and Mars, it's not that we're gonna be the hunters. We're gonna get hunted in a security systems, right? In a high security systems, we're gonna get hunted. We will have to pick our targets so carefully, or we're just gonna die, and the consequences will be much more harsh in future than it is right now, just a prison run.
Again, right? As I mentioned earlier, something to bear in mind is by the time I think we actually get static server meshing, we'll also probably have NPCs that are actually functioning up and functioning. Exactly. So it's not just us that you're going to have to worry about. You're going to have to worry about actually being quantum interdicted by pirate NPCs maybe in the future as well. Well, at some point in the future. So you might want to have some friends on standby.
And probably you will not get out from those good AI just by solo riding a caterpillar. They'll just keep you pinned with quantum interdiction until they kill you, and they will outmaneuver your ability to aim them. So you at least will have to have like turret guys, at least.
I love the fact that you guys have no qualms with explaining how to make it more difficult on yourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
I love that.
That's what I say. Come to my stream and I will explain you every single way to avoid me.
Yeah,
I agree. Go to SpaceCutlet's stream and learn how to avoid him.
Exactly. Don't avoid Space Noodle. Oh my God. Avoid Noodle.
Oh my God.
Avoid Noodle, right? Just avoid me. You will learn. I will literally can explain you that not a single pirate can actually catch a trader if a trader is clever enough. That there is no single mechanics for piracy right now that can guarantee us a successful catch because of how systems work. I won't get into that right now, but there are tricks, legitimate game mechanics tricks for traders to not get caught. And
everything I've heard from you guys is awesome, because I feel like a lot of the perception of the PvE community, and I'm not really one of them. I like the PvP aspect, but everything I've heard from the all PvPers or griefers camp is that you guys are really just looking to like pub stomp basically on new players, and that's I know that's not the case, but it's good to hear from people and actually get that explanation. Where
I'll explain I'll explain really quickly. At the end of the day, it's in none of our interests, right, to scare people away from this game. We want as many people playing this game as possible, because then we have more targets of opportunity. But the one thing that I will generally always do is whenever I learn that there's somebody new to the game, I will always welcome them, and I'll do everything I can to teach them how to survive in Star Citizen. Whether they want to be a PvPer, whether they want to be a miner or a trader, whatever, I will teach them whatever I know when it comes to how to survive in Star Citizen. And in terms of when I'm attacking traders, people have definitely become way more savvy, I think, especially more recently, in how to survive with Star Citizen. I'm definitely finding a lot more people who are canceling their quantum and tricking me into going to other locations. And I'm finding more people who are actually jumping from inside of Armistice and generally not just sitting there and dying. They're actually quantuming out, right? Rather than just spinning around in circles until they eventually die. People are getting a lot more savvy. I would rather people actually be able to defend themselves and actually have a chance of surviving than there's a reason my org is called SEAL Club. Right, just sitting outside of Armistice in Port Olisar, seal clubbing people isn't necessarily fun. Like, the name is just a joke, but I would rather actually be challenged by players in Star Citizen, and I want them to have as much fun as I'm having. I don't like being called a griefer.
Yeah.
Right. I genuinely don't like being called a griefer. I've accepted the fact that I'm going to be called a griefer, but I think it's a little bit uncalled for. But of course, I'm sure Cutlet's the same. I'll always
we just have to start pad ramming everyone for a month or two, and then say, "Hey guys, this is griefing. Now we stop. So don't call us griefers."
Yeah.
By the way, talking about the simple things they don't understand. People don't understand overall. Recently, basically since the launch of 310 was a good example. People are bringing their rocks mining vehicles, right, in their cutlasses and connies back to PO to make the sell. How many of you chat, or overall, just it's a global question, know that you can sell hedonite and side of rocks right on the outposts?
Yeah, at any outpost on any moon. Anybody that has a trading console, you could sell.
It's like, why me as a PvP player knows that? Why do I know this and you people don't know this, and then get salty in chat that we interdicted you with a mantis midway from?
I think generally the lesson here is, if somebody beats you, don't get mad. Ask how they beat you and what you can do to improve.
And learn, because most likely they knew more about the game than you did, and that's why you died. But Avatar, we're going to let you go. Thank you very much for your call. That was a cool perspective to have, is hey.
That was really cool, thank you.
Yeah, just not coming from the PvP side of things. Is coming from the PvE side. I like it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. All right, and then Kowalski is coming in next. Kowalski, what's up, man? How you doing?
I've never met this guy before in my life.
How's that?
I haven't. Is he even there? He's been on waiting for a while.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Don't he hear me, guys?
No, we do now. We do now.
Oh, okay. So, my point is, the stream name is PvP in Star Citizen, but for some reason, you all guys are talking just about combat all the time. But PvP is so much more than combat.
No. I talked about this earlier on. You're late to the
You're
podcast,
late.
my friend.
You came late.
You're late.
Yeah, we talked about traders fighting over a console is being a PvP, and
Sorry,
I didn't bring up exactly your name, but because Noodle was speaking up, but I wanted to tell that Kowalski made a very great Spectrum post about PvP, like a trader fighting his fucking Levinite against other traders.
Okay, that's not my
okay.
opinion.
Sorry, I will. Right, I'm gonna put my hand up and say it was actually Kowalski's post that put me onto that train of thought in the first place.
Gotcha.
So it is.
I'm not here for appreciation. I have another thing. Like
He's here for business.
I've mentioned Quanta NPCs and overall the future of the game, right? The imaginary future with simulated economy and market and all that. And often the people from the PvE crowd have the argument that when the game launches and it's on violent state, the small amount of players are poured into that, a big amount of NPCs that we are not even supposed to identify from other players. So how do you think that would work out?
Well, CIG has already stated that. How do they phrase it? There's basically the slider, right? The slider we're not going to have access to. So the idea behind the slider, I know. Calm down. So the idea behind the slider is that the expectation from the community was that you'd be able to go, I want to play solo or whatever. No, fuck off. The CIG clarified more recently that the slider is not something that the community are going to have access to. Essentially, it will be decided by how you play the game. By
your actions.
Exactly. So, for example, if you're a sneaky little shit, right, and you try shooting at players quite frequently, in your Eclipse, then guess what? You're going to be matched up and put onto servers with players, and you're more likely to run into players more frequently. Now, I did say earlier on that I'm not really that bothered by the idea of fighting NPCs, and I'll be quite honest, like most people know me as a PvPer, and I'm actually not that bothered by the idea of shooting at NPCs. I know, I used to be in Shadow Moses, and those guys are purebred PvPers, right? And those guys want to go up against players, but for me, I'm actually, as long as I have content and I'm doing something and I feel like I'm living in this universe, I'm absolutely fine with it. But the one thing I have definitely learned when it comes to PvP, and it's still a mistake that I make today, is that I very often underestimate the person that I'm going up against. And there's nothing more exciting, actually, than going up against a player that I don't recognize and they kick the shit out of me. Like Icy Jones, for example, right? Icy is somebody who's fairly new to my channel. He's only been around for a month or two. And Icy, we're very similarly skilled, but I think he's slightly better than me. And the first time I ever fought Icy Jones, it was actually quite an eye-opening experience. And I love it. But being able to identify players from NPCs in the future, I actually hope that we have AI that's to a level that is actually challenging for people who are actually good combat pilots in Star Citizen.
My 2 cents on the topic. So about the PvP slider, exactly. It's not going to be a slider. You'll be able to slide to opt out of PvP. It will be your actions that just define, as CAG said, what missions you get. Are you sent on other missions against other players to counter their mission, or are you sent to just pick up a box because you don't want to? It's just gonna be your basically your rep. That slider, they shouldn't have used even the word slider because people are so salty about it. Yeah. It will be your character ID that has its own reputation and what content you are provided because of what you did. That's the whole freaking slider there is. And then again, talking about what service you get in, in a bright future of Star Citizen, you won't be able to have 2 different servers of the same location. So it will be like one big world, right? Like, hopefully, right? We get this to this point. Hopefully we get to this point, right? I'm talking about like whatever bright future. And then identification, I totally feel you should not be even able to know if that an NPC or a player unless you do some kind of scanning. And then if you see a big dick 666 at the character name, you probably know that's a player, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, I'm afraid about such a thing that you mentioned already, the simulated economy, right? And that it can all end up in just mindless grinding. And my idea, it comes from the post, that there should be zones with high risk and high reward, and the zones with high risks, there would be more players because players would eventually migrate there, right? But what I'm afraid about is just having too many of those high risks, high reward zones, like in Elite Dangerous, where you can just as further as you go, the less PvP you meet, just because like there are so many of those zones you can grind that it's enough for everyone.
Yeah,
I actually agree with you here. Again, I know that there are a couple of you in chat who are fed up with me talking about the funnel, right? But there has to be a funnel. There has to be a location that is encouraged players to go to.
There has to be a greater reward than all other great rewards.
Yeah.
To people to fight about. And that's it's like nothing that we can do about it. It's up to CAG to understand this and embrace this logic. There has to be a limited amount of higher rewards so every player finds his own place to be in terms of how far he wants to take this risk and how far he wants to take the skill and the organization of his actions and his mates. And there has to be a limited amount of So there is not like 100 players in the verse and there is 100 high risk places, so the guy comes into a high risk place, oh hi, I'll go to next one, you know.
The whole thing is that if you funnel it into 1 or 2 maybe, or even 3, once we have more players in a significant area within a system, the risk of those areas makes the initial reward not as high, right? So you could say, well, they would be making this much money per hour if they went there all the time, but they have to factor in the fact that you guys would be there. And that there's costs to that.
They'll start losing money, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I said earlier, sometimes you don't want to go to the place that makes you the most money because that's where the most risk is. But you also have to bear in mind that guess what? We're people too. I know it's hard to believe, but we are people too. And we're also capable. We're capable of thinking, especially SpaceCutlet, maybe not me, I'm a pleb, but SpaceCutlet's going to go, well, you know what? People are wising up to the fact that it's probably best not to go to the place that makes me the most money. So let's go to the place below that and hang out there instead. You know, I think CIG have got a really, really difficult task ahead of them.
Yes.
I know that they actually have somebody dedicated to economy working at CIG, and I do not I feel so sorry for that person.
Yeah, and it's pretty simple.
Because so much hangs on economy.
Point of interest might be not even economy, like in a like economy like trading. Like point of interest might be a Bengal that we have to capture. And if there is 100 players playing the game, there can be 1 Bengal or there can be 100 Bengals for every player. And it's like nothing we can predict. It's just up to CAG to make that ratio correct. So it's like not super overcrowded, which like stops making any kind of sense, right? Unless maybe it's the top 1 like reward and that's it. But it has that good balance where people fight and get their rewards. People lose. They might think of going like lower tier and all that. Bengal is just a random example, right? I'm just making it like so it's have some kind of sort of form in your head, right? So yeah. It's like it's hard to predict how it's gonna be. It's that the ratio slider, right? How much of that reward compared to amount of players will it be dynamic? It's not it's not even like, it's not an absolute like flat number. It probably will be in future in code depend on the online of the game. So that's probably the way how they will code it. So the amount of those like high rewards may kind of fluctuate depending on the online numbers, right? But they have still to find out that ratio that is correct. And then again, it all goes down to what I'm afraid of. Like when it's a fully player-driven economy, it kind of balances out itself, right? You have the infinite amount of resources and players balance it out itself. When it's like artificially generated, it may cause like problems with people exploiting this AI economy on one hand, and it's being stale on the other hand. So
it would happen anyway in an artificial economy.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. Like look at the Elite Dangerous, right? As example, right? So you have all those systems, and there is all that trading, and then one outpost supplies things, then the other outpost or station buys the things, and yeah, it might be dynamic, and there might have been even quanta behind that in Elite Dangerous. It isn't, but it might have been. Like imagine there is quanta, but who cares? The end user gets, okay, go buy this, sell there, meaningful names like non-lethal weapons or whatever armor there is in ED. Oh, there is a riot there. I will go buy non-lethal weapons and armor and sell it to authorities on that station. That those like names in the trading list even mean something besides your final gold farm like in World of Warcraft from running that. No, because it doesn't mean like that's an NPC economy that means nothing to players besides the opportunity to earn more UEC, and that it means it's just a grind. Like there is no bigger goal to that. That's what I'm afraid.
Just seeing your bank account on your Mobiglass go up cannot be the experience.
It can be for some of the players, but it's
overall,
very shallow.
Yeah, but so shallow.
It's my biggest fear that there is so much thought put into the economy of Star Citizen. It's so in depth. It's gonna be so in depth by creating quanta and a lot. But all the depth will be just in the end for the end user is gonna be super shallow. Especially for experienced users, it's gonna be the moment the wow effect wears off. It's gonna be like super deep pool of engineering. But in the end, this very shallow waters of player experience.
Yeah. I like your voice acting there as well. It was solid.
That was really good.
I really hope it's gonna turn out different. I can only hope. That's nothing.
You've said a very good argument. And regarding those people who say that I want to chill in a video game rather than be stressed. That's what CIG are doing with that quanta, because it's not about pouring players into NPCs to lower your risk of hostile encounter. It's about making locations that are safer, but for less ambitioned players who just want to chill there rather than go and challenge themselves.
What if it was more about telling a story? What if it was more based around them trying to make this into something bigger, and it makes it easier for them? So instead of having to make an entire expansion and a new area, they can tell the story and adjust from within the Quanta system.
Oh, definitely.
And make it easier for them. What if that was the intention, but the results are more what you're saying, right?
You know what? I think EVE Online. I'm so sorry to bring up EVE Online again, but EVE Online does this quite well. Like they have these major characters appear in motherships and Titans, whatever, in high-sec systems, and you get a whole load of lore with it. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, I think you're right.
It's like, okay, now it gets to Salt. Sorry, I got triggered. So my real thoughts about all of this shit
He's been lying
like
the whole
this.
time. Let's hear the real stuff.
Yeah, is like that. So CAG, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm so sorry.
All right. I'm ready.
Marketing is based on fucking LTI ships.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Oh God, what have I done?
On LTI ships. So here's the problem. LTI brings you the idea of getting back the ship with the basic equipment, right? Mm-hmm. So it forces this insurance system upon all other insurances that are not even LTI, right? Because that's how insurance works in Star Citizen. You get the stuff back, what you pledged for. And I think this is a very major problem. And this is one of the hidden reasons why the economy is so NPC driven, why players won't be able to produce their ships and lose them. And all that. Like I have a huge theory behind that, but
I think this is where we're going to actually disagree.
Yay!
Okay. Finally!
So I agree to a certain degree. However, now CIG have pretty much... No, I agree that CIG are thinking about the money. Absolutely, they're thinking about the goddamn money. They're a business. The whole point is to make money.
Exactly. Right? I don't argue that.
There are definitely decisions that they make that are absolutely, I hate to use this word, retarded. But they have to make money.
Yes.
But the whole thing with LTI, right, and not losing ships. CIG have said, and they said quite a while ago, that doesn't matter what the insurance is that you have on your ship. If you paid IRL money for your ship, you'll never lose that ship, right? Which...
That's debatable. They retracted that statement, so I don't know.
Oh, but they actually retract it. That's fine then. If they retracted it,
well, they didn't retract it and say, no, you won't, but they did not support what that one random dev said on a support ticket.
Okay. Can I make a proposal here, right?
Come on.
So imagine if you bought a Gladius, right? A Gladius with LTI or whatever other insurance. Like let's say LTI. Instead of a LTI insured Gladius, you have a Gladius with an LTI token on top of it, right? Token. Just remember this word, token, right?
Token.
So when you lose the Gladius in a fight, whatever, you get money, like in I'm sorry, even line.
He said it again.
I said it again, right? I said it again. You get the money and the LTI token that states specifically Gladius back. So you don't have a Gladius anymore. You have a money with a penalty, right? With whatever, like how do you call it? Not margin, royalty, whatever. Fuck this. I don't remember the name. So then you have to go and buy the Gladius again, and then you can or cannot apply that exact token for insurance that you had from backing to that Gladius. And then it doesn't matter how that Gladius was like assembled, created. It could then be created by a player. You just have that privilege of an LTI token to get a free insurance on it.
What if we're going to go into a deep hole that we probably shouldn't, but what if it didn't okay, I know you're focused on the hull. What if they focused on the components? And what if they went, and this is I've actually done an answer the call on this specific subject about insurance. And I always advocated for the Escape from Tarkov model, where your character is your hull, right? And you're there all the time. So it's the same thing. You die, your character goes back, and you're able to join back in. But the guns, the shields, the armor, all those things are all these individual things. And you can decide whether or not to purchase insurance for that day. And then...
That's true.
And then the insurance company will go out. But if Moist Noodle or SpaceCutlet took the really valuable shield from me, I do not get that in return. I only get the things in return that were not taken.
Yeah, the reason why I'm bringing the hull exactly, because right now, and it seems to be like it's the CAG's direction. Again, no one knows because there is no communication on that, proper communication on how they see that, because they probably, the vision of that thing is pretty blurry in their heads too right now. So the problem is, if you're tied to an NPC economy, to those NPC ships or pledged ships, we are lacking what we've said before. We are lacking a player-driven economy, and we are lacking a self-sufficiency, and we are lacking the base somewhere in the pirate space when you can just have your gang. You just have to bring the ships in from like Lowville constantly. That's like stupid. That's why I'm saying about the hull. That's why I'm saying exactly about the hull. And even if the components are 10 times more expensive in the end, and I get that argument, you still rely on the NPC economy to get your ships, and they're not destroyed. You just get them back with the insurance. Like, we don't have that player freedom. It just makes me mad and sad.
Me too. I see where you're coming from now. Yeah,
I actually agree.
Kowalski, though,
something like LTI tokens on the specific ships that you like pledged for can solve this. They just have to dial in how people will not exploit those tokens, right? But it's just an ability to have a free insurance, basic insurance on a ship. But then if they do it, it will open up freedom for players to actually produce the ships, which can also be like money sinks. You have to, again, EVE Online, you can go to Aegis and pay in fucking insane amount of money for blueprint to get your production of Gladius hulls, right? To production of your Gladius hulls on your own site, and then you have to go to whatever other company and buy the blueprints for power plants and for repeaters or for whatever, and then supply yourself or the market with those things, right? So I don't know, that would be my perfect scenario, considering we already have all this LTI stuff and there is nowhere we can run from it. Right, that would be my personal solution, but again, it's all up to CAG.
I have one more point to state, and then I'm out. People often say that non-con PvP and con PvP are different, and that Star Citizen would benefit from just con PvP, but like a forced PvP is bad. Well, first of all, people should realize that there is no difference if you are cooperating with combat professions, being a trader, versus players or versus NPCs. Because in the finished state of the game, you will have to cooperate with combat ships as a PvE player, and vice versa. And the addition of non-con PvP just increases the risk. It doesn't change the game concept at all. If you think that you can, without non-con PvP, you would go to high-risk areas without any risks, that's obviously not true. NPCs have risk, but just its risk is lower. Because
depending on how qualified NPC is, actually.
It doesn't matter, because CIG cannot create a strong AI which can actually be sapient.
I mean, they can actually.
No.
To create a strong AI,
strong AI is a definition of an AI that is sapient.
I get it. Yeah,
it has like mind.
More than combat. Yeah.
Whatever. And the second thing is, the game should give you the reason to not shoot someone. I don't know if you guys brought it up on that podcast. I'm obviously late, but it's not like it's your job to police yourself about shooting or not shooting a peaceful target. It's a video game. People come here to basically pew guns. A lot of people come here for that. And the reason someone blows up your caterpillar is just because you are there.
Yeah, it's a reason enough.
And it's a good enough reason. The people who stay in global chat Oh, why did you do that? What's your reason?
Because
I don't need a reason.
I have
Here's
guns.
my reason. Here's my reason.
It's fun.
I know it's not fun for you. I'm really sorry. But I found it fun. All right. And that's all of a reason that I need.
Yeah.
We have guns. We have guns. Every ship in this game have guns. Every single ship. That's a reason enough. I'm sorry. My guns are bigger than yours. I understand how to fly ship better than you do, or you have worse ship that has bad capability in combat. Bye-bye.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess Kowalski will let you go. Is there anything else you want to add before we do?
No, thank you guys for the conversation.
No, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
And actually about the...
Oh, I thought he said it actually.
No.
You did.
It's
Okay.
me. Actually about the... we both have Slavic accents, so sorry. About consensual, non-consensual PvP. Non-consensual PvP is the PvP in PU. There is no consensual PvP unless...
Can you imagine if you're
There's
about
no
to kill
flag
somebody and then
system.
they suddenly go, "No, I'm done. I don't consent anymore."
Again, as I said, as we said in the start of the stream, like consensual PvP is only hey, Moist Noodle, let's fight in arrows without missiles. That's the whole consensual PvP.
Yeah.
It's like I'm jumping on top of a caterpillar, and then imagine me telling him, "Hey, do you want to role play a pirate attack or not? Are you good enough with that? I will not blow you up in the end if you will agree. We'll just role play me attacking you. Let's go."
All right, let's bring our final caller in because I actually have to go to work soon. Individual 11, welcome. Thanks for waiting, man. I appreciate it. What do you want to add?
Hi there. So basically, I'm new. I only started in the last free flight. Was it in last November?
Welcome, dude.
And so I've been trying to learn PvP, and obviously I only set off with originally I set off with the Mustang, and I just found it to be absolute trash, to be honest. So I ended up upgrading to a Titan, which obviously helped me a lot. And then like now I'm currently flying a Ghost. And so I've been dabbling in the PvP, and it was kind of good of the last caller because he kind of led into it about this, like people say about the combat. So I mean, the other day I was sat there and I was just thinking, because I'm one of these players, a bit like what you tapped on earlier when you said about people who come in and they're kind of got this Star Trek kind of idea of the game. And but I was thinking, at the end of the day, the Mantis, because I've owned one of them and had that for a while, that the Mantis actually starts to lose its, or it should like start breaking down because you've got people snared with that charge going. So I was thinking, we shouldn't really be flying around with your weapons continuously on 24/7.
I agree.
So I don't think that we should be flying around with weapons on. And then this point contact system, I think that CIG wouldn't have a lot of work to really incorporate something like that, where we see a person and then we see their marker, we still have to get into that range again, where we get them up to get like up a lock. But if we could have, say, because I was on about them adding the movement of your joystick visual in the settings. So I keep, like, when I'm in combat, I keep trying to shoot, when I've got fixed, I keep trying to shoot my target with the mouse pip rather than the actual center pip. So I think this is what's getting a lot of people confused a lot. Because they're getting like 2 pips now, and then you've got like the pip of the target, and then depending on which way you've got that configured. So if you're kind of getting used to combat, you'll know now to go looking for that and turn that off, to take that off to stop you distracting. But I was like, well, why couldn't we just toggle it between lock and target? Because if you've got a locked loadout, you're not going to move the guns, or at least you would hope it doesn't move the guns. So then you could still see the pip, and if we actually turn the ship on and we was in the target but I was on about putting in like a yellow alert system, which is where this comm system would be active straight away. So you turn your ship on, you're in target, but it's a comm system and it's yellow and your weapons are off. And then you would be able to like hit the station, request permission to leave, take off. And then when you saw someone, you would have to get into this range, see them, click on them, and then you could just communicate. And then another thing I was describing was when you're saying about the eclipse being really stealthy, was you wouldn't be able to see them, but if you're a trader on your panel,
Hold on,
you should have
individual. Let me
comms.
jump in. I don't want to cut you off, but you're going from one thing to the next to the next, and the guys will never be able to respond without remembering what was before.
I'm hearing two main topics here, right? So the one is regarding to you mentioned Star Trek, and I think Star Trek is a great way to describe it, and that's kind of how I described it earlier on, right? Which is a lot of people kind of get into the game because they love the idea of Star Trek. But the thing that you're specifically talking about is essentially powering on your weapons, which is when you go from yellow alert to red alert in Star Trek, all right? I really like that idea. And I think it's something that I genuinely think that CIG should consider implementing into Star Citizen in maybe in a way that you can... Well, I guess you can see weapons powering on from the IR and EM signatures, but maybe ships should start off with them powered.
It should be more obvious than that, though.
It should be more obvious.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It should be more consequential to keep them powered on and powered off.
Absolutely.
And they sort of discussed that, where it might be a thing.
I think it will be because of capacitors, right?
Yeah.
So in the future, for those that don't know, we'll have capacitors, and I don't think capacitors will necessarily affect us when just our weapons are powered on, but you won't necessarily be able to just keep, if you're using repeaters, for example, hold the trigger button and just fire non-stop until your target is dead. Because you firing your weapons non-stop will maybe actually affect your shields, etc.
It's like a lot of things. Like for example, the powering off your weapons give you some advantage in stealth, but it's really low. Especially, it doesn't affect like IR almost at all, like very tiny bit. And then powering them back on, it literally 1 second for them to get their power on. Like if it was all, we have to have that gameplay where things matter. If you keep your weapons weapons off for lower visibility, you need time to power them on and go from one state to another and all that. And then like what I heard also from individual is the thing, like other thing is like targeting. They should really improve. Okay, so the system they did is good. They listened to feedback. Thank you, CIG. We have almost like best of two worlds now. People can decide what they want to use. We have options. That's good. What I would like to see is more definition between locked state and selected state. Select should give you the very basic info, like a name and distance, and that's the problem. Right now, selection is nothing besides like just marking what you want to lock or pin, which should not be the case. When you see a caterpillar on Bezdek and you're creeping up on him, I'm just talking from my perspective. I'm just making an example. You can make the same thing goes to multiple scenarios, but when you select it, you should be able to see at least distance and maybe name, because you don't want to lock it. You don't want to spook him, but it's a basic thing to see the distance to a selected target. That would be very useful, right? And then the states should be different. Like again, even line, we have the thing when someone locks you, it goes yellow. When someone fires at you, it goes
it's
red.
Obvious that they're hostile, right?
Yes. So lock is an act of aggression, basically, but it's like no one fired the shot, maybe whatever, So that's the thing we should have, and then they should really go away from things like hostiles and friendlies, because in real combat scenario, whoever participates in PvP, they know the definition of hostile is and friendlies is totally wrong in the game, because hostile is the one who shoots at you. Also, hostile is the one who has crime stat, but he's your friend.
It's not even the one who shoots at you. It's the one who shoots at you and hits.
So the idea is, my personal vision would be have color schemes for hostiles and friendlies only that only make sense to the current combat scenario. So if no one ever did a single shot, they're all friendlies. If they have crime stat, make another icon near their chevron that shows that they're red, they're crime statted.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to what's the word? Interrupt you here. Sorry, too much wine. I'll have you know, Cutlet, there's only one color in the verse, and that's whatever color your Moby glass is at any one time. So we can't have other colors.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. My bad. Okay, I quit. Bye.
But you can buy a new colored Moby glass now. Very big update.
But that's not the color of the UI. That's only the color of.
Oh, I know. But we were talking about colors, so I was just, getting excited about it.
CAG should really look into defining the combat scenario and the overall reputation. So hostiles, friendlies, should, like the color of chevrons, basically, should be only about the current combat situation right here, right now. Everything else, like crime stat, should be described differently, like having a different red outline around the green chevron or something, which will mean he has a crime stat, but he never attacked you. Anything like
it can even be an icon. Yeah,
it can even be an icon with a red background and a white skull. Oh wait,
that sounds a lot like EVE Online.
They could leave you orange in between, couldn't they? They could leave you orange in between, neither red or
just something. We need to see more colors on our UI. You know.
But individual, go ahead and now ask your question before I interrupted you. I'm sorry, I wanted to make sure that we got that and then moved on.
Yeah, because I know what you mean. I was going way too much.
Yeah.
So the next part was obviously before in the chat I was talking about that they introduced this visibility to your VJoy. Now I understand it because obviously when I first started in 3.7, there was an incident where I tried to take off in the hangar and I'd moved my mouse and not realized, and as you do, you take off, suddenly you're just spinning around, you're like straight in chat like, I'm just spinning around, what do I do? And they're like, oh, just the button was R, wasn't it? So you just pressed R, knocked it into gimbal because I had a Titan, so you just do that, look where it is, put it back in the middle, level out, there you go. So it was something that was used and that I got taught how to fly with. And so if I ever saw someone struggling, I'd always tell them to just knock it into that mode and look where it were.
So how would you want them to resolve the VJoy situation?
So at the moment, the VJoy's on by default. And I get that because if you're a new player, you're going to need to know that moving your mouse is what's going to move that. But I was like, so why can't they have left it in targeting? Because
generally,
when you've got it in target, you move your cursor on the screen, don't you? So you move it so you can see it, but it shouldn't move the guns. And then if you want to knock that off your view, you just knock it over onto lock because it's just going to take that off your screen.
I think generally the answer is that we need the tutorial back.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm a mouse and keyboard user, right?
Yeah.
I'm a mouse and keyboard user.
Same.
And I would say VJoy is super essential. If someone thinks they can fly properly without a VJoy, no. We've been struggling.
I'm a dual joystick user, but just from my experience in the past, I would absolutely use VJoy.
Yeah.
So the moment we lost VJ was a very sad moment in the history of mouse and keyboard users in Star Citizen. It happened, I think, transitioning for 3.0 or something. So we had a VJ back in the 2 point something patches. Then it was lost. But up until the end of 3.4, everyone were using fixed guns. So you could use gimbal aim as your VJ. When auto gimbals kicked in, and I was really mad. You had to lock your gimbals, and you never ever saw VJ, and that you lose the control of your ship without a VJ. So right now they actually have lots of options. So I think people can set. The problem is that might be not intuitive, but there is a lot of options to deal with that. You can either hide or see your VJ. You can have your gimbaled aim on manual mode be gimbaled to your VJ or be gimbaled to your point of view where you watch. So if you have the
track AR, like Moist says,
you can even shoot with like looking like this, right? Because now you can select: do you want your gimbals to be locked to your VJ or to your center of your view, right? So that can be done. Basically, you can lock them. Obviously, you can bring them to outer gimbal mode and still see a VJ, thanks God. And you can do all this stuff. Maybe people just need a bit more education on that and a tutorial.
It's just, I agree. It's just like, because everything you're saying still applies. It's just obviously the way they've done it is you knock that, if you don't want that visibility, you knock that off. But you could have easily, so when I'm saying you've got it in target mode and then you put it back into lock to take it off, you could easily go back into the setting and then enabled the movement back on. I'm going to go ahead when you're on that other setting. But the reason why I keep going on about this target was because this is where that yellow alert mode would have been. So when you got in the ship, you'd be in the yellow target mode with a VJoy, pip on your screen anyway, because you'd have that on from target. So you'd have that VJoy movement pip.
When it comes to settings, I think it's only going to get worse. I don't want to make you feel crap, but I think it's only going to get worse, because I think the only way CIG can really make people happy when it comes to this game is to give them the ultimate customizability when it comes to their settings as possible. And that is ultimately going to be quite crap for people, I think, who are quite new to the game, unless CIG do a really good job of creating like a really good like starting setting. But I absolutely agree that it needs to be more obvious that somebody is being hostile towards you.
Yeah.
It's like playing, you can play World of Warcraft on the default interface, and then you can install Curse Client or whatever it is right now, and then go all in and balls deep into the customization of your UI, right? And then it's not a World of Warcraft anymore visually, So for now, what I say, CIG should give as much options as possible for the veteran players to judge on those options, and for new players to judge on those options. And maybe in time, they will figure out what's the optimal configuration. That's what they've been always talking, right? They want, their major goal is to bring the easiest way for a new player to adopt. That's why they keep changing. Like, people are raging about the keybinds and all that, but that's why they keep changing and changing and changing. They want to figure out that
the best setup,
perfect setup for a new player in the first place, right? So I love that they increase the amount of like things we can configure for ourselves, so we can do the work and they can like look, okay, this is usable, this is usable, this is, and only after it's dialed in, they may start reducing the redundant and useless options, but not until it's really good.
Yeah, because I do have to admit, there's a lot of settings there, and they are useful. Like it's just figuring out what they are. So, like you say, if you don't know what they are, you're not gonna really pick up on it. But
it's a
like
difficult
me,
situation,
I
right?
went
Like
in and found the
how-
setting that I wanted to turn off. So
Yeah, how do you solve that situation? Like, do you just let the person solve it for themselves? Do you let them go to Twitch?
I mean,
Twitch
some things you
content
just gotta
creators?
look up. Yeah.
Do you use the guide system?
The wiki, whatever that ends up being.
Yeah, exactly.
The best way is to subscribe on Twitch to PvP streamers.
Yes.
TS3,
like
please.
SaltEMike, twitch.tv/SaltEMike. Individual.
yeah,
Best PvP streamer I've ever seen. SaltEMike, thank you.
The get your last question in here. I am running dangerously close to being late for work, so try and keep it
really
keep it tight.
So about the PvP bit, just at the moment, we're still getting a few bugs with ships. So I mean, people say get better at aiming. I'm trying to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But like, there's ships at the moment. So I think the Cutlet has invincible ramps. And the airlock doors on the side. So if you're shooting it, it's taking no damage whatsoever. Yeah. There's a few other ships like that, and
most of the ships have that. Most of the ships. There is a thing of how the engine works. Most of the components that move on the ship are not the part of the actual hull. They either take damage, get to 0 HP, and then bleed that damage into the critical components, which is like the main hull, or they will tank that damage infinitely. That's like Cutlass, as you said, like bottom ramp of Constellation is like half of its belly, and you can shoot infinitely into it, and nothing will happen, right? So it's just temporary problems. You just have to know how to deal with them. You don't shoot Cutlass from the back; you shoot it from the top or from the bottom, right?
Not and they have no intention of keeping this.
Here's the thing. I'll be real with you for a second. It's one of those things where right now you have to learn where you have to hit individual ships, and that sounds really shit, right? But get used to it, because that's coming to the game in terms of armor. The idea is that armor in Star Citizen is going to work very much like armor does in real world tanks,
components.
Right?
And components, you have to know where the component's going to be.
You kind of have to learn in the long term where those weaknesses are anyway. So actually, that's not necessarily a bad thing right now that you have to learn where to hit ships. It's a bit crap when you're PvPing for the first time and you're not quite sure where those locations are. But the only advice I can really give is talk to PvPers, right? And learn from them. Come to my channel, go to Cutlet's channel, go to Virgil's channel, go to any of the guys who PvP, and kind of ask those questions, because there are plenty of people out there that will pretty much every single PvPer that I know on Twitch, they will answer those questions.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, thanks. Because I think I will. Because, like I said, they seem to be my Achilles heel at the minute, like a Cutlass or anything. So, I'll take on any is it ECN or whatever.
Also use
and then I'll get like five
of your
them, and and then so there was an incident that's a new. Is this a new bug as well to 310 where I got shot with a missile? And I was in my Ghost, and suddenly my whole shield was just gone. My whole engine was just gone.
Yes.
Off one single. Yeah, and it was just a single missile from a Cutlass. So I don't even know what size that would have been. Would it have been a size 2, a size 3?
Yeah,
it's a bug with the Hornets right now.
Right, because it just stripped me right out.
Yep.
But no, that's it. Thank you very much, Salty, and thank you very much, guys. For
no problem.
No worries, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Yeah. Well, all right, boys. I think that's gonna do it. I appreciate both of you coming on. Before we get going, any final little things? I have a few more minutes.
Oh, trading is griefing.
Yeah.
I think we touched on almost everything. So yeah.
All right, well, Moist...
Sorry for making this the longest podcast ever.
No, there's no sorry. If I felt like it was too much, I would have stopped it. I enjoyed sitting back and listening and learning, and I think a lot of other people did too. I know my name was spelled wrong the entire time, okay?
That's why I called you Saltly.
Yeah.
SaltEMike.
SaltEMike. I'm French now. So, Moist, where can people find you? Share your links.
Moist. No, it's not moist.tv. Twitch. Jesus Christ. I swear to God, if I ever come on this podcast ever again,
No more
I'm
wine.
Not drinking wine.
Yeah, I won't let you have any more wine.
Twitch.tv/moist_noodle. I'm also on Twitter at the Moist Noodle. Holy shit! All right, now it's Cutlet's turn.
What about you, SpaceCutlet?
Yeah, same shit. Twitch TV, SpaceCutlet.
Do you guys do YouTube?
I do some masterclasses once in a quarter, like how distortion is broken, or how you have to QED people, or how you have to use a snare. But that's like some of only for nerds only videos. That's about it.
I think there's more nerds than you think.
There's people bringing up my X-Tube in chat. Okay, we should move on.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, thank you for coming on. I do appreciate it. So, yeah, I think this was really good, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope we do it again soon. So we'll do the whole YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I don't know when this is going to get on YouTube, because there's no way I can render this and upload it before I have to go to work. So, and I might not even be able to render it at all, because I got to notice that my computer is running out of hardware space or hard drive space. So I quickly deleted all this shit I didn't need. Hopefully it was just a warning and not and it was actually gone.
We need a new donation goal for a new hard drive.
No. I don't have any donation goals, so there's no need for a new one. But the whole thing is, I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. I think I know who we'll have on next week, and it'll be like a semi-similar topic, but not quite. Just like on the flight model and discussing that. So we'll see. But I have to ask him still. So everybody have a good one, and I'll catch you guys later.
Let me guess, White Snake.
Yeah, I got to ask him. So I don't want to make any promises yet. We'll see if he's available. So have a good one, guys. We'll catch you later.